After leaving the Fishman Street, Lin Wuya strolled around the Fishman Island accompanied by Tiger. Speaking of it, Lin Wuya hasn't really seen this place after coming to the Fishman Island. After entering the Fishman Island, he went directly to the Fishman Street to find Tiger. Therefore, Lin Wuya also enjoyed the beauty of the Fishman Island along the way. As for Tiger, he accompanied Lin Wuya to watch the beautiful scenery of the Fishman Island while telling some of his experiences after going down the mountain. And following Tiger's recount, Lin Wuya also roughly knows some of the experiences Tiger has experienced over the years since he went down the mountain. Marie Joy, the Holy Land, liberated the Murloc compatriots and other slaves who were imprisoned there, and was later wanted by the world government, and Tiger set up the Pirates of the Sun to confront the world government. Basically, there is not much change from the original work. The only difference is that in the original book, Tiger was betrayed for escorting humans home, and then was ambushed by Marine. He was seriously injured, and then he was unwilling to accept human blood and died. But this world Tiger did not. Because of Lin Wuya, the strength of Tiger has been improved as never before. As a result of the same attack in this life, Tiger relied on his own strength to bear it down, and also led the Pirates of the Sun to severely damage Marine. It seems that you have experienced a lot in the past few years after going down the mountain. Lin Wuya turned towards Tiger. It's been a lot, but they have been solved one by one. Tiger grinned. However, the power of the world government is not small. It not only has the facade of Marine, but also the CP Intelligence Agency organization, so don't think that you are strong enough to face the confrontation. Sometimes you have to avoid it or you have to avoid it. Tiger's temperament, Lin Wuya, knows it. This kid is never afraid. This is an advantage as well as a disadvantage. After all, if the forces sent by the world government are very strong, Tiger still chooses Yin Gang, which is not a good thing. Even if Tiger's current strength can face Admiral alone, what if Marine sends 2 Admiral? Can Tiger handle it? Obviously not. It is precisely because of this that Lin Wuya reminded Tiger. Don't worry. Teacher, although I am a bit buried, I will still be able to judge the situation and judge the situation. If the forces sent by the world government are very strong, I would not choose to have direct contact with them. Furthermore, now teacher you are down the mountain, I still want to accompany you well. Tiger pulled his cheeks and smiled. Just know. Lin Wuya nodded. It is a good thing that Tiger can listen to him. Right, teacher. How long do you plan to stay in the Fishman Island this time? Tiger asked. It depends on the situation. This time I came out as a teacher to look at the colorful world outside, a place as rich as the Fishman Island. Naturally, the teacher wants to take a good look. It should be here in a short time. Hearing the teacher said that the teacher would not leave, Tiger's face was instantly pleased. He wished that the teacher would stay here more. If this were the case, he would be able to accompany the teacher every day. Okay. From then on, I will accompany you, teacher, every day, and take you to visit the Fishman Island. In the chat, it was noon soon. Right, old sir, you haven't eaten yet. Neptune smiled at Lin Wuya. Whether it is out of gratitude to Lin Wuya for helping them catch Van der Decken, or out of Lin Wuya's identity, Neptune feels that it should be hospitality. That's really not there. Lin Wuya smiled. Hearing Lin Wuya said no, Neptune said immediately, if you don't mind the old man, you can follow me to Dragon Palace City. I order people to prepare good wine and good food. Haha. What a shame. Don't say anything, old gentleman. After all, you are Tiger's teacher. Besides, you also helped us the Fishman Island a big favor this time. You don't know the guy Van der Decken. I have been looking for him for a long time. I haven't caught that guy. If it weren't for the old gentleman, you would help us. I'm afraid it would be difficult for us to catch him. For feelings and reasons, I should thank you, old gentleman. Neptune said so. That's all right. Neptune has said so. Lin Wuya is not easy to refuse, but also accepted the invitation of Neptune. Afterwards, under the kind invitation of Neptune, Lin Wuya, Tiger, Rayleigh, Enel and Robin came to Dragon Palace. The luncheon was prepared very well. There are hundreds of dishes alone, not mixed with fruits and some other foods. In addition to Lin Wuya and his 4 disciples, there are also Neptune and his 3 sons, as well as the mermaid princess Shirahoshi, who has been locked in a hard-shell tower in the past. Van der Decken was arrested. Shirahoshi no longer needs to live in the hard-shell tower, and now she can enter and leave Dragon Palace at will like a normal person. Shirahoshi. This is just to catch Van der, the old gentleman Decken. Neptune said to Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi stood up and said timidly at Lin Wuya, thank you, old man. It can be seen that Shirahoshi is a little courageous, Even if her father Neptune and 3 brothers are here, she is still a little scared. Lin Wuya knew Shirahoshi's character, so he didn't say anything, and said with a smile, "No thanks." After speaking, Lin Wuya glanced at Shirahoshi again. Although I have seen it in the original book, Shirahoshi is even bigger than he thought. Even though the current Shirahoshi is much younger than in the original, his size is still larger than that of her father, Neptune. Of course, Lin Wuya looked at Shirahoshi, except because he was the mermaid princess of the Fishman Island, and also because he was another unknown identity of Shirahoshi. Poseidon. If it weren't for reading the original work, who would have thought that Poseidon, one of the 3 legendary weapons, could command countless sea kings in the sea, turned out to be such a timid mermaid princess. After the luncheon, Lin Wuya took Tiger to a square. Bringing Tiger here, Lin Wuya naturally wants to see where Tiger's strength has reached over the years since he went down the mountain. If Tiger is as strong as Buggy, he will stop. Then Lin Wuya will not hesitate to treat Tate like Buggy. Kidding. After so many years of going down the mountain, the strength is still the same as that of the mountain. Shouldn't this be a fight? This he has to fight to death. Also coming along were Rayleigh, Enel, Robin, Neptune and his 3 sons, Shark, Emperor, Sun Moon, and daughter Shirahoshi. In addition, Tiger's Murloc pirate group and many other subordinates are also here. They came here naturally because they heard that Big Brother Tiger's master was going to compete with Big Brother Tiger. I couldn't restrain the curiosity in my heart, so I came to watch the battle. Come on. Let the teacher see where your strength has reached in the past few years after going down the mountain. Standing in the center of the square, Lin Wuya put his hands behind him. Then I'm not welcome, teacher. Tiger twisted his neck, and immediately moved to Lin Wuya. Tiger is not like Enel, who is afraid that Lin Wuya will die. This kid is just a reckless guy. To describe it in current words, Tiger, when I was on the mountain, I always challenged Lin Wuya. Although he was beaten every time, this kid was not afraid of being beaten at all. On the contrary, he became more brave as he fought. So this time I heard Lin Wuya wanted to test his strength, it was a high morale. Go. Teacher. With a trace of wild gaze, Tiger stepped on the ground with his feet slightly, and then the whole person disappeared directly into the square. Shave. Still like challenging Lin Wuya when he was on the mountain, Tiger still chose to shave his hands. The difference is that the speed is even faster. Lin Wuya naturally felt this, and immediately smiled and said, "Oh. How much speed has been improved?" Brush. Suddenly, a breaking wind sounded from Lin Wuya's right. Immediately afterwards, I saw the figure of Tiger appeared there. Brush. A sharp leg whip directly swept Lin Wuya's head. Feeling such a swift blow from Tiger, Lin Wuya smiled faintly. It's still the same as the past, it's not polite at all. While speaking, Lin Wuya directly raised his right hand and blocked Tiger's leg whip. Puff. Then, his right hand exerted a slight force and shook Tiger away. Awesome. Outside the court, Jinbei, who was watching the game, slapped his lips. Big Brother Tiger's blow was not unpleasant, and Big Brother Tiger's teacher blocked it so easily. Unbelievable, how fast this reaction can be done. Taste. Tiger glided on the ground for tens of meters before stopping. As soon as he raised his head, he saw Lin Wuya raising his hand towards him. Come again. Okay. Brush. Still shaved his hands, but when it was different, this time Tiger did not choose to round the sides, but chose a frontal attack. Brush. I saw that Tiger's figure appeared directly in front of Lin Wuya. Right hand into a fist. Armed color cohesion. Immediately afterwards, he slammed a frontal punch to Lin Wuya. This punch is very powerful and fast, and with the addition of armament hockey, even a pirate with a bounty of over 100 million can't resist it. Boom. The fist wind howled, and it was in front of Lin Wuya in an instant. Seeing this, Lin Wuya once again raised his right hand, and then fisted. Bang. When the fists collided, there was a shocking sound of collision. Armament hockey, covering Lin Wuya's and Tiger's fists, kept touching each other, forming a lightning-like black ripple and spreading towards the surroundings. Boom. At this moment, the originally calm square was directly caused by strong winds. Next moment. Whoop. A figure flew out directly. The figure is not someone else, it is Tiger. Although he chose a head-on confrontation, how he is Lin Wuya's opponent, you must know that what Tiger has learned is all Lin Wuya taught him. And the high-level armed Seiryu Sakura Haki he used before did not have any impact on Lin Wuya at all. On the contrary, under Lin Wuya's stronger armed color impact, he flew out directly. Big Brother Tiger was shocked again. Murloc Jinbei and Aladdin and other Murloc pirate groups all grew their mouths at this moment. Although he knows that Big Brother Tiger's teacher is definitely better than Big Brother Tiger. But Big Brother Tiger is a Murloc after all, and Murloc's power is inherently 10 times that of a human being. In addition, Big Brother Tiger's attack this time also used armament hockey. And still take the initiative. Under this circumstance, Big Brother Tiger was still shocked every day, and Big Brother Tiger's teacher hadn't retreated a step. Big Brother Tiger, the teacher is too strong. Worthy of being a teacher. The continuous attacks were fruitless, and Tiger not only did not cry, but became excited. Immediately afterwards, he moved his body and rushed to Lin Wuya again. Fists, feet, elbows. Next, Tiger went straight to full firepower. That kind of offensive look around Jinbei and the crew of the Murloc pirates, as well as Neptune, and his 3 sons, Shark, Emperor, and Sunshine, all slapped their tongues. But useless. His attack had almost no effect on Lin Wuya. Lin Wuya just stood in place, blocking Tiger's offensive with just one hand. And as before, it didn't move a step. My god. One hand blocked all the offensive of Big Brother Tiger. This is too strong. Aladdin's boss with an open mouth. They know the strength of Big Brother Tiger, and that is the existence that can compete with Marine Admiral. I have also played against Marine Admiral Aokiji in the past, and they have never fallen into a disadvantage. Such a strong Big Brother Tiger can't help his teacher's hand, which is too exaggerated. Isn't Jinbei shocked by the scene before him? Big Brother Tiger, the teacher is indeed a bit outrageous. In the past, Jinbei always thought that the strongest person in the world was Whitebeard, but after watching the battle between Big Brother Tiger and his teacher, he no longer thinks that the strongest person is Whitebeard, but Big Brother Tiger's teacher. Bang. Puff. In the center of the square, Tiger and Lin Wuya were still fighting. It lasted for half an hour before stopping. I am he. At first, Tiger was very fighting spirit, and after seeing his 2 offenses were intercepted by Lin Wuya, he became more fighting spirit. However, as the fighting continued, Tiger became a little uncomfortable. You must know that he hasn't been lazy in the years since he went down the mountain, and he has been training hard, but even so, he was still abused by the teacher just like when he was on the mountain. No. The gap is bigger than when on the mountain. For a while, Tiger also collapsed. How the older the teacher, the stronger the strength, this is totally unreasonable. Generally speaking, isn't it that the older you are, the weaker your strength will be? How could it not be reflected in the teacher's body at all? Not only Tiger, besides Rayleigh, Enel and Robin, the others also look surprised. With only one hand, Tiger was defeated, and it's still defeated. This is too strong. Although they had seen the strength of this old gentleman in the newspapers, they did not expect that was so strong. In the center of the square, Lin Wuya smiled at Tiger. Although you are still abused as a teacher, your strength is much stronger than when you were on the mountain, not bad. The purpose of looking for Tiger to compete this time, Lin Wuya, is to see if Tiger has been lazy in the years since he went down the mountain. It doesn't seem to be right now. Whether it is armed color, physical skill, or seeing and hearing color, Tiger is much stronger than on the mountain. The overall improvement is about 50%. What's the use of becoming stronger? Isn't it because the teacher is completely abused by you? But I won't give up so easily. Starting tomorrow, I will challenge you every day, teacher. Lin Wuya knew that Tiger would say this, because he was on the mountain, and Tiger had said such things countless times. Okay. I am waiting for you to challenge every day as a teacher. During the next period of time, Lin Wuya stayed in the Fishman Island and looked around in his spare time. The same is true for Enel and Robin. They are both coming to the Fishman Island for the first time, so they are naturally very curious about everything about the Fishman Island. But Robin is looking at the beauty, not Enel. What this kid sees is beauty. Whenever he has time, Enel goes to the Mermaid Bay to see the Murlocs, and it is not a day. Almost every day Enel goes to Mermaid Bay. Lin Wuya in this scene was speechless. How could this kid be the same as Sanji of the Straw Hat Pirates? In addition to looking around the Fishman Island on weekdays, one thing Lin Wuya will do in his free time is to accept Tiger's challenge. Since the Fishman Island was tortured by Lin Wuya once that day, the boy has been out of control. It is really the same as what he said after the defeat that day. Basically, he will come to the challenge once a day. Although Lin Wuya has a bruised nose and swollen face every time, this kid is not afraid at all, just like when he was on the mountain. Lose once and continue the next day. Lin Wuya didn't refuse the challenge that Tiger was so happy, and even enjoyed the challenge of Tigers. After all, he hadn't seen Tiger for decades, and among the many disciples, only Tiger dared to follow him like this. Therefore, Lin Wuya is also happy to see Tiger challenge him every day. In this way, as soon as Tenten passed, half a year passed without knowing it. In the past 6 months, Lin Wuya has also stayed in the Fishman Island. During the day, he either went to the Fishman Island to look around or fight with Tiger. Life is going well or not. However, Lin Wuya's life is leisurely, but Hawkeye is uncomfortable. Since learning that Lin Wuya left Sabodi Archipelago and went to the Fishman Island, Hawkeye used his identity as 7 warlords of the sea to cross the Red Line and came to New World. Lin Wuya was waiting there. I thought it was just a few days of waiting, but I didn't expect it to be half a year. After half a year of waiting, Hawkeye can't stand it no matter how patiently it is. If it weren't for the desire to fight Lin Wuya in his heart, he might just go back to his nest. At this moment, New World is a sea area. Hawkeye was floating on the sea in a boat. The eagle eye is still the eagle eye, but the energy is not as good as half a year, and the whole person looks a little tired. These are all caused by half a year's waiting. Sitting in the boat, Hawkeye raised his head and stared at the sea in front of him. After seeing that there was still no movement, his brows frowned suddenly. Did this old man die in the Fishman Island? It's been half a year, why haven't they come out yet? In addition to Hawkeye, Naval Headquarters is also quite uncomfortable. Why Naval Headquarters is uncomfortable? It is naturally to confirm whether Yingyan is Lin Wuya's disciple. 6 months ago, they let the branches of New World pay attention to the movements of Lin Wuya and Eagle Eye. See if the two will fight. If they fight, then there is no doubt that Hawkeye is not Lin Wuya's disciple. Hawkeye should have seen Lin Wuya's powerful swordsmanship before he went to the volcanic islands. If not, then it proves that their guess is correct. Yingyan is Lin Wuya's disciple. But the result? The various branches of New World visited New World for half a year and found nothing. Not only that, even Lin Wuya's shadow was not seen. This is uncomfortable. Naval Headquarters, Marineford. At the moment, inside the Marshal's office, Sengoku, Suru, Garp, Zephyr and Sakazuki Admiral and other Marine senior executives are sitting here. Basically, every 3 days these heads of senior management will gather here. This is the 60th time they have sat here in the past 6 months. And the object of discussion is naturally Lin Wuya. Half a year. Fully half a year. I haven't seen the shadow of the old gentleman from the New World branch. What's the situation? What do you think? Sengoku sat there, looked around Crane, Garp, Zephyr and others in front of him, and said. In half a year, let alone not seeing the battle between Hawkeye and the old gentleman, he didn't even see the old gentleman's shadow. Sengoku was also a little broken in his heart. In fact, if it is only half a month or a month, Sengoku can still bear it. But half a year. Who can stand this? Garp sat there while chewing the senbei, and said, how can you see this? The branches of New World have not found the shadow of the old man. We can only wait here. We can't ask the seniors like us. Go out, go to New World to find that old gentleman. Sengoku said in a deep voice, it's correct to say that, but there has been no news about the old gentleman for half a year. This is a bit worrying. After all, the old gentleman is very terrifying, and there are so many terrifying and powerful people under the sect. Disciple. Even if we don't have any trouble with that old gentleman again, we must know what he is doing. It's good now, let alone confirm whether Eagle Eye is the shadow of that old gentleman. There hasn't been any news from him for half a year. Is Sengoku worried? It is naturally sad, and it can even be said to be more worrying than everyone here. There has been no news about Lin Wuya for half a year, and his whole hair is quite white. Crane said to Sengoku. Don't worry, Sengoku. Garp is right, we can't go to New World to find the old man, so keep waiting. Furthermore, that old gentleman was like that half a year ago. After leaving Alabasta with Nico Robin, he disappeared for half a year, and nothing happened. So it's okay for the old gentleman to disappear, as long as he doesn't make a big mess. It can only be this way, Sengoku sighed. At this time, Paluzolino, who had been sitting there without speaking, said, do you think that old gentleman is still in the Fishman Island? This shouldn't be. Crane shook his head. After all, the Fishman Island is located 10,000 meters deep under the sea in the Holy Land. What kind of temperament does it take to stay in the Fishman Island for so long? You said so, Perusolino nodded thoughtfully. However, they don't know that Lin Wuya has really stayed in the Fishman Island for the past 6 months, and his life is quite leisurely. The Fishman Island. After staying here for half a year, Lin Wuya is also ready to leave. Next to the boat, Lin Wuya was standing there, while Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin were standing behind him. Standing in front of him are Fisher Tiger and his dry crew Jinbei and Aladdin, as well as King Neptune of the Fishman Island and his 3 sons Shark, Emperor, and Sun. And Shirahoshi. In the Fishman Island for the past 6 months, Lin Wuya and Shirahoshi get along very well. On weekdays, Shirahoshi often comes to Lin Wuya to play, and the grandpa and grandpa shout every day. And Lin Wuya is also quite fond of Shirahoshi. Of course, it is not the kind of affection between men and women, but the kind of affection of the elders to the younger generation. Therefore, when he left this time, Shirahoshi also came to see him off. "Teacher. Are you leaving now?" Tiger looked at Lin Wuya with a look of dismay. "Yeah." Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. The time spent in the Fishman Island is long enough. The food, drink, and play are almost the same, so it's time to leave. Lin Wuya knew that Tiger must be a little bit dissatisfied. Because Tiger was like this when he went down the mountain, he had already learned about it, but he still wanted to stay on the mountain. Had it not been for him to drive with the whip, the kid wouldn't have gone down the mountain. But he can't stay in the Fishman Island forever. After all, the outside world hasn't been seen yet. Furthermore, he has stayed in the Fishman Island long enough. Fully half a year. It was enough to be with Tiger this kid for the past 6 months. Also, the other disciples Lin Wuya didn't go to see them one by one. He knew that those kids must be crazy too. If he knew that he had stayed in the Fishman Island for half a year, his mentality would probably explode. Therefore, Lin Wuya is not going to stay in the Fishman Island anymore. He will go to other places and look at other disciples by the way. "Teacher. Can I leave with you? I also want to accompany you to see the outside world, just like Brother Rayleigh, Brother Enel, and Brother Robin?" Tiger licked his face and smiled. Hearing that Tiger actually wanted to leave with him, Lin Wuya shook his head suddenly, and then smiled. "Forget it. If your temperament is with me, then it won't be tempting to make trouble for me. Besides, you are not like Rayleigh, Robin, Enel, they are alone. You have your Murloc pirate group, and you are gone. What should they do?" The corners of Rayleigh, Enel, Robin's mouth twitched slightly. "What does it mean that we are alone?" "Enel. I am the god of Sky Island. You insisted on letting me go." "Rayleigh. I still have my Shaki. Robin. I really seem to be a lonely person." "No. Teacher, I will never make trouble for you. Besides, I'm leaving. Jinbei can take over my seat. This kid is strong and has a flexible head, enough to take over for me as a Murloc pirate team. Captain." Tiger smiled at Lin Wuya. "It won't work for someone to take your seat. Anyway, just stay here for me, don't be so crooked." Lin Wuya sneered. "Okay." Tiger's head was pulled down. At this time, Neptune stepped forward and smiled at Lin Wuya. "Old gentleman, you are leaving. I have nothing good to give you, so I will give you the wine I treasure. In this case, you don't have to buy wine along the way." In contact with Lin Wuya in the past 6 months, Neptune also noticed that Lin Wuya prefers to drink, so he wanted to give Lin Wuya the wines he treasured. It was a farewell gift at that time. Then I would be disrespectful. Lin Wuya smiled. If Neptune gave other things, Lin Wuya would refuse, but he would not. Because he really likes to drink. Although the amount is not large, it is basically an alcohol addiction every day. Under Neptune's orders, an altar of fine wine was carried out by the kingdom army and then carried on the ship. There are quite a few, more than 50 altars. Enough for Lin Wuya for half a year. After the soldiers carried the wine on the boat, Shirahoshi looked at Lin Wuya with tears in his eyes. "Grandpa. Will you come to the Fishman Island in the future?" It can be seen that Shirahoshi is also reluctant to leave Lin Wuya. During the 6 months of getting along, Shirahoshi and Lin Wuya also have a certain relationship. Of course it will. Lin Wuya looked at Shirahoshi, who was much taller than himself, and nodded and said, "Little Shirahoshi is in the Fishman Island. Grandpa, I will come back naturally. When I finish my new world tour, I will go back to the Fishman Island to see you." "Really? Grandpa?" Hearing Lin Wuya said that he would come back to see her after traveling the world, Shirahoshi's face suddenly showed a touch of joy. "Of course. Grandpa, I have never lied to you." Lin Wuya smiled. "That's a deal." Shirahoshi held out a finger at Lin Wuya. It's a deal." Lin Wuya smiled and nodded, then stretched out a finger and hooked Shirahoshi's finger. To be precise, it cannot be said to be a hook. It's touch. Because Shirahoshi's fingers are much larger than Lin Wuya's, and one finger is thicker than Lin Wuya's arm. After bidding farewell to Shirahoshi, Lin Wuya boarded the boat with Rayleigh, Enel, and Robin. Tiger said to Lin Wuya, who was standing on the boat. Teacher. I have to come back and see my disciple when I have time. Yes. Lin Wuya smiled at Tiger and nodded, and immediately said to Robin, Robin, let's sail. Good. Robin nodded, and then started the ship. The ship passed through the bubble, then rushed directly into the sea, sailing towards the distance, which is New World. Oh. I don't know when this trip will leave, the teacher will come back again. Looking at the boat shadow drifting away, Tiger sighed. But soon, Tiger Heart was not so depressed again. Because the teacher stayed here for half a year, the other brothers and sisters did not receive this treatment. Hey. It seems that the teacher still treats me well. In the depths of the seabed, ships sailed swiftly. On the boat, Rayleigh asked Lin Wuya, Teacher, are we going to dress Rosa for the next stop? Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded. 6 months ago, I was already giving someone a message to that guy. I'll go see him when I have time. Naturally can't break his promise. The guy Lin Wuya said was naturally Doflamingo. This guy dared to issue his reward in the underground world. I have to meet him no matter what. He was going to ask that guy in person, why did he issue my wanted warrant? Are you the king of Dress Rosa enough, or is Kaido not enough fear for you? Regarding Doflamingo's operation half a year ago, to be honest, Lin Wuya really couldn't understand it. It seems that he didn't provoke that guy. The result? This kid unexpectedly issued his reward in the underground world, and the reward was higher than the reward issued by Marine to him. And it's not a little bit higher, it is a full billion higher. This made Lin Wuya unbearable. This time, I just took the ride to New World, and gave a good greeting to that guy. Who gave you the courage to issue my reward order in New World? Give him a reward of 2.5 billion Baileys, New World, Dress Rosa. In the palace, Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo sits on the throne. Below the throne is a member of the Donji River de family. Toripal, Pika, Diamante, Cora, Sugar and others. Speaking of the past 6 months, what Doflamingo has had is a torment. Since learning from the disco 6 months ago that the old gentleman, Lin Wuya, was coming to see him, Doflamingo has fallen into deep fear. I worry about the arrival of Lin Wuya almost every night and every day. I haven't had a good night's sleep for days, and sometimes even wake up in a dream. That's a bitterness. Even for this, Doflamingo was depressed for a while. Why depressed? That is naturally afraid. You should know that Lin Wuya can play all 3 Admiral and Fled, and at best he can only play against Admiral. How to be an opponent? If the opponent comes, Doflamingo has no doubt that he will be beaten to the ground in an instant, or even slaughtered directly. After all, he had issued a reward order in the underground world, which attracted 20,000 killers from the underground world to get Lin Wuya's head. In this situation, how could the other party let him go? Fortunately, after a while, Doflamingo found that Lin Wuya didn't seem to come to him. He was relieved. And today, half a year later, his hanging heart is completely let go. It seems that the old gentleman frightened him, not that he really wanted to come to him. Dover. It's been half a year, and the old gentleman didn't come. It seems that the other party to disco gave you a message at the time. It was just to scare you, not true. Toripal, holding a cane and covered in mucus, smiled at Doflamingo. Is Toripal afraid of Lin Wuya coming? That is naturally afraid. After all, they are all members of the Don Quixote family. He knew that if the old gentleman came, he would never let them go. What's more, even if the other party doesn't bother them, Dover is the leader of their Don Quixote family. If Dover is down, then they are basically done. So Toripal was also afraid that Lin Wuya would come to Dover. Fortunately, the other party didn't come here for half a year, and he didn't even hear about him in New World, which made Toripal's heart also relieved. On the throne, Doflamingo whispered, Furfur, it seems that it is really just to scare me. Immediately, he said again, but even if the old guy does come, I won't be afraid. I don't believe that the old guy is as strong as reported in the newspaper, and it is mostly made up by the guy Morgans. Furfur. After speaking, Doflamingo stood up directly from the throne and said to the members of the Don Quixote family such as Toripal and Pika. We have a banquet tonight. Lousy wants to eat and drink. Good. Toripal smiled and nodded. Standing in front of the throne, Doflamingo gritted his teeth and said, what frightened Lousy in the past 6 months, turned out to be scaring me, damn old thing, don't let me run into you in New World in the future. Say the most ruthless words, pretend to be the most ruthless, this is probably Doflamingo. In fact, he was afraid of Lin Wuya to death. That kind of fear even surpassed Kaido. ******* New World. somewhere under the sea. Half an hour has passed since we left the Fishman Island. However, at a depth of 10,000 meters, it is obviously not that fast to come up, and it only took half an hour for the ship to travel only halfway. Rayleigh, how long will it take to enter the new world? On the deck, Lin Wuya drank the wine from Neptune and asked Rayleigh. Half of the dive, I will be able to enter the new world in almost half an hour. Is there still half an hour? That's fast. The ship hurried upwards, getting closer and closer to the sea level. After sailing for nearly half an hour, I finally saw the shadow of the sea level. However, Lin Wuya's brows frowned at this moment. Because he obviously felt that there was a person over this sea area. And it's not a weak one, the breath is not weaker than Rayleigh. What's wrong? Teacher. Rayleigh noticed Lin Wuya's strangeness and asked immediately. There seems to be a person above. There is one person? Rayleigh furrowed his brows, then opened up his sights, and felt for a while. The next moment, he stared blankly. There are really people. And the breath is very strong. Who would it be? Rayleigh frowned. Whoever he is, go up and find out. Lin Wuya said with a chuckle. The ship continued to float up, and finally came out of the sea with a chuckle. And as he emerged to the surface, Lin Wuya also saw the person's appearance clearly. Wearing a black-red coat, a black top hat, and a jet-black knife behind him. A pair of eyes are as sharp as an eagle. Under it is a small boat. It turned out to be this guy. Almost at a glance, Lin Wuya recognized each other. The world's largest swordsman Hawkeye Mahawk. It turned out to be Hawkeye. What is this guy doing here? Rayleigh also recognized the other person and frowned immediately. If he remembers correctly, it seems that Hawkeye hasn't set foot in New World for a long time. What is this guy doing in New World? And he seemed to be waiting for someone like that. When Lin Wuya and Rayleigh looked at the Eagle Eye also looked here. When his gaze fell on Lin Wuya's body, the sharp eyes that were as sharp as an eagle suddenly condensed. In the next instant, he stood up directly from the boat. I finally waited for you. On the boat, the Eagle Eye stood on its feet. The eagle-like eyes stared at Lin Wuya, for this moment. He waited for half a year. In the past 6 months, he even wanted to give up the idea of continuing to wait here, but when he thought of what was reported in the newspaper, a mere knife cut half of the Sabodi archipelago. He finally chose to continue to wait. After waiting for half a year, he finally made him wait. Although he had only seen Lin Wuya's photo on the reward order, he almost concluded at a glance that the old man standing on the boat in front of him was the one he was looking for. Lin Wuya. The old gentleman who just cut half of the Sabodi archipelago into 2 halves with a single knife. Since I saw your report in the newspaper half a year ago, I went to Sabodi archipelago to look for you. After learning that you left, Sabodi archipelago went to the Fishman Island. I just crossed the red line waiting here. After half a year, I finally made me wait for you. Fight me with a duel. Use a sword to fight me with a duel. Standing on the boat, Hawkeye's sharp gaze stared directly at Lin Wuya's words. The voice is strong and full of fighting spirit. For this moment, he waited for half a year. He can't wait to compete with Lin Wuya. This guy. A flash of surprise flashed in Rayleigh's eyes. In order to want the teacher to duel, Hawkeye jumped over the red line and waited here for half a year. How strong is this perseverance to make this man wait here for so long? Sister Robin. Who is this guy? Enel glanced at the Hawkeye who started a duel with the teacher as soon as they met, and then asked Robin beside him. Enel didn't know Hawkeye, but he knew Robin should know. The world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye Dracule, is a metric-based man who stands at the top of the world's swordsmen. Robin revealed the identity of the other party. Although Robin is not a pirate, he has heard of Hawkeye's reputation, and it can even be said to be thunderous. Since the success of swordsmanship a few years ago, it is rumored that this man has started to challenge swordsmen from all over the world, and eventually defeated him and reached the throne of the world's largest swordsman. And until now, he has never fallen off the throne of the world's #1 swordsman. It is also recognized as the world's largest swordsman. Robin didn't expect Hawkeye to appear here, and also to challenge the teacher. The world's largest swordsman. Enel frowned. Although he is not a swordsman, Enel knows what the world's largest swordsman means. Represents the strongest person in swordsmanship in this world. Is this guy so old? In fact, Enel also noticed that the other party was unusual, but he didn't expect this person to come from such a big background. The world's largest swordsman. Only with this title can tell that the opponent is good, presumably not losing to Marine Admiral who fought with them at Sabodi Archipelago. Turning his gaze, Enel looked at Lin Wuya, and Rayleigh also looked at Lin Wuya. Will the teacher accept the challenge of the other party? Standing on the boat, Lin Wuya smiled, secretly looking at the warlike eagle eye standing on the boat. In order to fight him, he crossed the red line and came to the new world. And waited for him here for half a year. This guy's perseverance is really not so strong. Lin Wuya admitted that he would never do it if he were to change it. Maybe he would cross the red line and come here to wait. But definitely won't wait for half a year. But Lin Wuya was relieved soon. Because the one standing in front of him is not someone else, but Mihawk, the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye. Standing at the top of the world swordsman for a long time, it is inevitable to feel lonely. Naturally, I have seen a swordsman who can rival or even be stronger, making it difficult for him to conceal his desire and want to fight with him. Half a year may be very long, but for Hawkeye, as long as it can wait, it is worth it. Because the last thing Hawkeye lacks is time. Otherwise, he would not chase from the Grand Line to East Blue just because someone interrupted his sleep. Time is the least valuable thing for Hawkeye. Do you want to fight me so? Lin Wuya asked. Yes. Hawkeye made no secret of his inner thoughts. Just a knife is half a Saboti archipelago. To be honest, it is difficult for me to do it. So fight with me. A duel in the name of the world's #1 swordsman. If you win, this title belongs to you. Being able to make Hawkeye say such a thing is enough to see his desire for this battle. However, Lin Wuya laughed. He turned to Hawkeye and said, the world's largest swordsman or something, I have no interest in this kind of thing. But it's okay to fight you. The sentence Lin Wuya said earlier made Hawkeye frown, but the latter sentence made him look happy. Immediately afterwards, he asked Lin Wuya, so you accepted my challenge? Yeah. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. After staying in the Fishman Island for half a year, my body is a little rusty. Let's compare it with you and move your muscles and bones. After that, Lin Wuya turned and looked at Rayleigh. As for Rayleigh, he also handed his saber Mingyue to Lin Wuya very tacitly. Taking Mingyue from Rayleigh's hands, Lin Wuya leapt and jumped onto an isolated island. Hawkeye didn't care what Lin Wuya said, in his opinion, as long as Lin Wuya accepts his challenge. With both feet stomping the boat, Hawkeye jumped onto the island as a streamer. Master, are we going to go there? Robin asked Rayleigh. No need. Rayleigh shook his head. It's good for us to watch the battle here. Besides, the battle between the swordsmen is terrible. If you watch the battle from close range, it will be affected. On the coast, Lin Wuya and Yingyan are looking at each other. Lin Wuya's gaze was as calm as before, but Hawkeye was different, and his eyes were full of warfare. He has waited a long time for this battle. The breeze blew across the sea level, bringing waves of waves. Occasionally a few seagulls flew past and made a few chirps. On the sea level, a ship stopped there quietly. Rayleigh, Enel, Robin, as the three disciples of Lin Wuya, they quietly looked at the two figures on the coast. One is their teacher. The other is Mihawk, the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye, the man who stands at the top of the world's swordsmen. I didn't expect Hawkeye to challenge the teacher. Robin opened his mouth, but his eyes were always on those two figures. Although I knew that the teacher would never lose in this duel, but this level of battle still made her feel excited. After all, it was not someone else who challenged the teacher this time, but Mihawk Hawkeye, the world's #1 great swordsman recognized by many swordsmen in the world. The man standing at the top of the swordsman. I didn't expect it. Rayleigh said faintly, but it's normal to think about it. Hawkeye has always been at the top of the world's swordsman, and it is not a defeat. A person like him who has been at the top for a long time will inevitably feel lonely in his heart. I saw in the newspaper that the teacher cut half of the Saboti archipelago open with a single knife, so I would naturally feel wary. If it was me, I would have come to challenge the teacher. Is that so? Robin nodded thoughtfully. That's right. Big brother, since this guy is regarded as the world's largest swordsman, then his sword skills should be very strong? Enel asked Rayleigh. Yeah, very strong. Rayleigh nodded. Big brother contrast, how about you? Enel asked. Rayleigh's swordsmanship. Enel has seen it before. Quite strong. In Saboti archipelago, Rayleigh suppressed him in the face of Marine Admiral who also held a sword. So if he knows the gap between Rayleigh and Hawkeye's swordsmanship, Enel probably also knows what level of Hawkeye's swordsmanship has reached. If I try my best, I might be able to suppress Hawkeye. But in a pure swordsmanship competition, I am not Hawkeye's opponent. Rayleigh said slowly. Isn't he? His swordsmanship is better than that of your big brother? Enel was shocked. If my swordsmanship is better than Hawkeye, then the one sitting in the world's #1 swordsman's seat is not Hawkeye, but me. Rayleigh said with a chuckle. Although his swordsmanship has improved a lot during the years with his teacher on the mountain, Rayleigh knows that it is still impossible for him to defeat Hawkeye by swordsmanship alone, and at best it is equal. I don't know what kind of situation this battle will form. Robin stared at Lin Wuya and Yingyan, who were standing on the coast. Over the years, Robin has seen all kinds of battles, big and small, including some admiral-level battles. But Robin had never seen the duel between the two pinnacle swordsmen. So she really wanted to see, when the teacher collided with Mahawk, the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye, which step the situation would reach. It will be more than any battle you've seen in the past. It's even possible that the entire island will be flattened. After saying this, Rayleigh didn't speak anymore, but quietly looked at Lin Wuya and Hawkeye standing on the shore. Enel and Robin do the same. On the coast, Lin Wuya and Eagle Eye stood facing each other. The air seemed to freeze at this moment. This atmosphere was silent for about 10 seconds. The eagle is moving. I saw that he held the supreme sharp knife Black Knife Knight and slashed at Lin Wuya in the air. This knife resembled the blade of the sky, instantly cutting the space open. Next moment, a slash of hundreds of meters long shot out from the black sword in the night, and flew towards Lin Wuya with a force enough to split the sea. This blow was a temptation for Hawkeye. If Lin Wuya can take over, then he will directly dispatch all his strength without hesitation. Brush. An astonishing slash came from the front of Eagle Eye and quickly approached Lin Wuya. Wherever he passed, the ground was directly divided into two, splitting towards both sides. What a strong slash. Robin smacked his lips. This Eagle Eye is worthy of being the world's largest swordsman, and he reached this point with a single slash. It's very strong, but it's not the full strength of Hawkeye. If I'm not mistaken, this blow should be Hawkeye's temptation. He is testing the teacher's swordsmanship to the point of cooperation. Rayleigh spoke slowly. On the coast, an astonishing slash swept past and arrived in front of Lin Wuya in an instant. At this moment, Lin Wuya shot. There is no magnificent movement, just a gentle wave of Mingyue in his hand. However, the power brought by it made Hawkeye startled. I saw that the slash attack he used with the supreme sharp knife Hei Daoyi was easily accepted by the opponent. Bang! The astonishing slash was directly split into two under Lin Wuya's swing, then turned into two halves and flew out. Half flew to the nearby island. In an instant, the island was split by life. The other half flew into the sea. The calm sea level is directly divided into two, and the big waves roll for a time. It's just the first confrontation that formed such a situation. The confrontation between the pinnacle swordsmen is really terrifying. Robin smacked his lips. Although from Rayleigh's mouth, she learned that the teacher and Hawkeye's duel should be very scary, but Robin did not expect that this step was actually achieved. Only first test. The mountain was split apart, and the seawater was split directly by life. If the firepower is fully fired, what kind of situation will be formed? Think carefully. The mountain was split apart, and the rock slowly rolled down into fragments. After the split sea lasted for a while, it gradually calmed down. However, Hawkeye's fighting spirit is getting higher and higher. At this moment, his eyes flashed with intense excitement. With just a light wave, he split into two halves with the slashing blow sent by the supreme sharp knife Black Saber Yi. Sure enough, the same as reported in the newspaper. Strong and terrible, in the past 6 months, he hasn't waited in vain. This old gentleman really has the strength to compete with him. It might even be stronger than him. Does Hawkeye care about his title of the world's #1 swordsman? That naturally cares. Otherwise, he would not go to all over the world to challenge swordsmen from all walks of life in the past, in order to become the world's largest swordsman. But this just passed. He, who has long occupied the throne of the world's largest swordsman, now hopes to have an opponent who can compete with him, or even be stronger than him. Red hair counts as one. But the red hair is only equal to him, and he has played countless times, and it is just a match. Now he is interested in Lin Wuya. Moreover, this kind of interest has been seen before that Lin Wuya only swiped his sword, and it became even more intense after he split his slash with the supreme big knife Black Sword Knight. Hawkeye at the moment, his eyes are full of warfare. That kind of fighting spirit is even stronger than when he confronted the red hair. In fact, this time Hawkeye had a duel with Lin Wuya, except for trying to distinguish himself. Another reason is that his own realm has been stagnant. The same goes for a duel with red hair. He wanted to further his swordsmanship through a duel with the red hair. But it's a pity. The red-haired swordsmanship and him are in the middle of nowhere, and countless times in the match were only a tie. Therefore, even after dueling red hair so many times, Hawkeye's swordsmanship failed to move forward. So this time he set his goal on Lin Wuya, besides wanting to see Lin Wuya's powerful swordsmanship. What's more, he wants to take his swordsmanship further through the duel with Lin Wuya. This is Hawkeye. Even if he has always stood at the top of the world's swordsman, he has always wanted to break through himself and go further. The breeze blew across the coast, bringing a silence. It's just that this silence was quickly broken again. I saw the eagle eye moved again. Holding Hideoye tightly in both hands, Hawkeye ran out. There was a crackling sound under the footsteps of the sand. After a few breaths, Hawkeye rushed in front of Lin Wuya. Immediately afterwards, he directly raised the Hei Dao Yi in his hand. Knife down. The blade slashed through the air, cutting the space open. And above the Knight of the Black Sword, he also carries the powerful Haki. Not conquerors, but armed color. But even so, with the powerful swordsmanship of Mahawk, the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye, with armed color, the power is still extremely powerful. This blow was stronger than the previous slash. The black knife slid through the sky at night, and instantly arrived in front of Lin Wuya. Facing Hawkeye, Lin Wuya's behavior is the same as before. It is still a simple swipe of the knife. The movement is very light, and it does not seem to have much power. But the power that really broke out was surprisingly strong. Hawkeye's full blow was directly blocked by Lin Wuya. Then there was a loud bang. The sky above the two of them split directly. Looking up, I saw the clouds were turbulent towards the sides, with a deep gully in the middle. The sky is split. My God! Robin was stunned. The previous fight split the sea and the mountain apart, but this time, even the sky split apart. This is too amazing. Enel's face also changed slightly. Although he was very strong, he couldn't make the sky split. This is the contest between top swordsmen. Rayleigh stood there and spoke slowly. The sky is split. On the coast, Lin Wuya and Yingyan did not separate. The supreme big knife Hideoye and the big knife Mingyue are facing each other. Haki. Sword chi. Constant collision from above. For a time, the wind roared and the waves swept. What happened? Not far away, on a passing pirate ship, dozens of pirates watched the tumbling sea. There was a deep horror on his face. What's going on here? Obviously there was no tsunami, but the sea level was so turbulent. You look at the sky. At this time, a pirate stretched his hand into the air. Immediately, the other people on the ship also turned their gazes toward the air. Immediately afterwards, everyone grew their mouths, and the expression on their faces became amazed at this moment. Heaven is cracked. What the hell is going on? How could the sky split? What's the situation? They all exclaimed, not understanding what happened. At this time, a pirate pointed his finger at an isolated island right in front of him. Look, there seem to be two people standing on the coast of that isolated island. Hearing that, these pirates all looked in the direction of the pirate's fingers. Then everyone's eyes condensed. Sure enough, there are two people. And it seems to be in a duel. Wait, duel? Immediately, the faces of all the pirates on this ship changed. This shouldn't be caused by the duel between these two people, right? Give me the telescope. A man with a tattoo on his shoulder and a scar on the corner of his eye said to a pirate beside him. This man is the boss of this group of pirates. The name is Guys. Similarly, he was shocked. Yes, the boss. The pirate nodded, and then handed the telescope he carried to the boss. Taking the telescope from a pirate's hand, Jess looked at the two men. The focal length is zoomed in and falls on one of the figures. His pupils suddenly shrank. That knife. That kind of costume. And that face. This is Mahawk, Hawkeye. Jess's mouth shivered in shock. Hawkeye. How can he appear in New World, and he is still fighting people? The other pirates on the boat were also frightened. Hawkeye Mahawk. It turned out to be him. Last night, the code word was close to 2 o'clock, and I didn't go to bed until 2:30 o'clock. I didn't wake up very well, so the update was slow. I'm sorry, you guys. Shocked. Shrouded in the hearts of all the pirates on this ship. But more is unbelievable. How is it possible? It turned out to be an eagle eye. If they remember correctly, as early as a few years ago, this man had reached the throne of the world's largest swordsman, and this man had never entered the New World. But what is going on right now? He actually appeared here. And it's still fighting people. As if afraid that he was wrong, Jess took the telescope and looked at it again. Even this time he zoomed in again. However, the scene he saw made his heart tremble even more. It's Hawkeye. It's really an eagle eye. Even if they are far away, they can't see each other's face thoroughly. But he recognized the knife in the opponent's hand. The supreme big knife, Black Knife Knight. The knife belongs only to the eagle eye. Is BG's afraid of eagle eyes? It is naturally fear. That kind of fear does not even lose to the 4 emperors of New World. Because he knows how terrible Hawkeye is. Although there is no pirate group of his own, no subordinates, not even a decent pirate ship. But his strength is surprisingly strong. One-handed swordsmanship reaches its peak. It even reached the top of the world's #1 swordsman a few years ago. It is rumored that the red-haired Shanks of the 4 emperors' duel with him only ended in a tie. Unbelievable, Hawkeye actually appeared in New World. BG's mouth trembled, and he was still immersed in a huge shock until now. He knew that if those guys in New World knew that Hawkeye had appeared in New World, they would definitely be shocked. After all, Hawkeye's reputation is too loud. The name of the world's #1 swordsman alone is enough to make countless pirates of New World frightened to hear about it. But soon BG's frowned again. Hawkeye is fighting someone, then who is the other party? Who deserves Hawkeye to come to the New World in person and come to a duel with him? Could it be 4 emperors' red-haired Shanks? He knows that Hawkeye and Redhead Shanks often fight each other. In the past, news of Hawkeye and Redhead duel was heard from New World basically every other month. Plus 4 emperors Redhead Shanks is in New World. Therefore, he thinks Shanks should be the one facing Hawkeye at this moment. Picking up the binoculars, BG's looked at the shore again. However, when his gaze fell on the figure opposite the eagle eye, his brows were frowned. It's not Shanks. How is it possible? If it weren't for Shanks, who would it be? Zoom in. BG's carefully looked at the man standing across from Hawkeye. And this look, he was stunned. He turned out to be an old gentleman. Hawkeye is fighting an old gentleman. And he is an old gentleman who is nearly 80 years old. What a joke. The dignified Eagle Eye Mohawk, the world's largest swordsman, has made countless pirates in New World fearful of its existence. Came to New World to fight an old gentleman? The inner shock drove BG's to zoom in again. However, in the next instant, his brows wrinkled again. How does he think this old gentleman seems to have seen it somewhere? Old gentleman? BG's frowned and thought back carefully. At a certain moment, when a face came to his mind, his pupils suddenly shrank. Difficult, is it? Leaving from the deck, BG's rushed into the cabin and took out a reward poster. Then picked up the telescope and compared it. When the face of the old man in the field of vision perfectly blended with the photo on the reward order. He was stunned. The hand holding the reward order also unconsciously trembled. It's really him. It's really this old gentleman. He came to New World, and he was fighting Hawkeye. Beside BG's, a subordinate looked at BG's in such a horrified look, and immediately asked in confusion, "Boss, what's wrong with you?" Previously, the boss was so shocked that he discovered that one of them was an eagle eye and was still fighting with them. But this time the boss was so frightened that he didn't understand it, and this kind of fright was even more terrifying than seeing the person as an eagle eye before. What's the situation? You can see by yourself. BG's handed the telescope to this man. Huh? Taking the telescope from BG's, this subordinate looked towards the shore of the isolated island directly in front. When his gaze fell on the figure opposite Eagle Eye, like BG's, this subordinate was also stunned. Especially when he saw the look of the person standing opposite the Eagle Eye, his whole person became even more horrified. Boss. A duel with Hawkeye, shouldn't it be? Obviously, this subordinate also saw a clue. The man who confronted Hawkeye seems to be the old gentleman who made a fuss about Saboti Archipelago 6 months ago and was offered a reward of 10 billion Baileys by Marine. Yes. BG's said with a horrified expression. It's him. The old man who killed the Grand Line and defeated Marine Admiral at Saboti Archipelago, and was rewarded by Marine with 10 billion Baileys. As soon as this word came out, the pirates on the ship were stunned, and then became amazed. No, it was the old gentleman who confronted Hawkeye. For Lin Wuya, these pirates are naturally aware of it, and it can even be said to be quite convincing. It's just that Lin Wuya has been staying in the Fishman Island for the past 6 months, and there is no news of him from the outside world, and they gradually forgot. What they didn't expect was that they killed celestial dragons in Saboti Archipelago 6 months ago, and the 3 admiral of naval headquarters that had been beaten all escaped from that old gentleman. Competitively appeared in New World, and they are still in a duel with Hawkeye Mohawk. Big news. This is definitely big news. If this is spread out, it will definitely make the entire new world sensational. Unbelievable. Looking at the two people on the coast, Byguy's felt tight in his heart. If the appearance of Hawkeye can only shock him, then the appearance of Lin Wuya made him completely shocked. This is a cruel person. 40,000 pirates were slaughtered in the first half of the Grand Line's 6 hours, which can be called a killer-level existence. In Sabaody Archipelago, he even killed celestial dragons and naval headquarters dispatched 3 admiral to help him. Instead, he was knocked down and fled. No matter which one of them, his heart was trembling. I thought that after having disappeared for half a year, this old gentleman would never appear again, but he did not expect to appear again. And it didn't appear elsewhere, appeared in New World. The New World ruled by the 4 emperors. Boss, are we leaving now or? One of his subordinates asked Byguy's. I will leave later, I want to continue to watch the battle for a while, this level of battle is rare in a century. Is it a pity to leave like this? Bjess stared at the 2 figures fighting together on the shore, and said. He is shocked. But it's also more fanatical. One is the world's largest swordsman, and the other is the world's strongest veteran. In the swordsmanship competition, who is stronger? He would love to see it. At this moment, on the isolated island where Lin Wuya and Hawkeye are dueling, at a sea level 5 nautical miles away. Someone also noticed the situation here. But it's not a pirate, it's Marine. Marine from the New World branch. Since the headquarters instructed them to pay close attention to the movements of Lin Wuya and Eagle Eye 6 months ago, the Marine generals of these branches have sent people to patrol the waters of New World every day. Just like that, it was the past 6 months. Finally, today they discovered the whereabouts of Lin Wuya and Eagle Eye. On the warship, a rear admiral stood there, rear admiral named Gus. At this moment, he was holding a telescope and looking at 2 figures fighting on the coast 5 nautical miles away. It's them. After patrolling in New World for half a year, I finally found the traces of these 2 people. Take the phone bug. Turning around, Gus said to a soldier behind him. The call bug is naturally to report this matter to the headquarters. Because the headquarter ordered them early in the morning, if they find out the whereabouts of this old gentleman and Hawkeye, report them as soon as possible. Now that I discovered it, I naturally had to report it to the headquarters. Yes. Gus Rear Admiral. The soldier nodded, then took out a phone bug and handed it to Gus. After answering the phone bug, Gus immediately contacted the headquarters. Naval Headquarters. Marineford. Marshal Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Suru and Sakazuki 3 admirals sitting in the office. Blue Brew. At this moment, the phone worm on the table rang. Immediately afterwards, a man's voice came from inside. Report to the Marshal, I am G7 Rear Admiral Gus of the New World branch. When we visited New World earlier, we found the whereabouts of the old gentleman and Hawkeye. As soon as he said this, Sengoku stood up directly from his chair. The faces of other people also changed. Found the whereabouts of that old gentleman and Hawkeye? Sengoku said to Gus. The news is true. Sengoku's face was full of excitement at the moment, because they hadn't heard from the old man for half a year. For this reason, all attempts to confirm whether Eagle Eye is a disciple of the old man have been put on hold. However, now the G7 branch has discovered the whereabouts of the old gentleman and Hawkeye. How is he not excited? It's true. Gus's affirmative voice came from the phone. The 2 of them are now on an isolated island 5 nautical miles away from me. It seems that the form is a duel. Are you in a duel? Sengoku smiled with joy. It can be said that this is the result he most wants to see. Because if it's a duel, then Hawkeye shouldn't be that old gentleman's disciple. Okay. I get it. After Sengoku said this, he wanted to hang up the phone worm. But it was interrupted by Garp. Don't hang up yet. What's wrong? Garp. Sengoku looked at Garp. Garp ignored Sengoku, but asked Gus on the phone worm, do you have any influence on the phone worm? Bring it. If you bring it, you can use the influence phone worm to send their battle screen to this part. Garp turned to Guth. Garp, you shouldn't be thinking about it. Sengoku asked Garp. Yes. Garp grinned and said, that old gentleman and Hawkeye's duel, how can this level of competition be missed? I think the others here should be very interested too. Ah la la. I am indeed a little interested. Kuzan sat there and said. It's terrible. The duel between Hawkeye and the old gentleman, but it doesn't hurt to look at it. Paluzolino also spoke. Whatever I want. Sakazuki, who was sitting between the 2, said lightly. Hearing what the Sakazuki 3 said, Sengoku helped his forehead. I really lost to you. After speaking, Sengoku said to Gus on the phone bug. Then pass the duel scene between Hawkeye and the old gentleman to the headquarters. Yes. Marshal Sengoku. At the end of the phone worm, after Gus hung up the phone worm, he ordered the general ship to approach the place where Lin Wuya and Hawkeye duel, and then chose a place with a better view and stopped. Taking out the video phone worm, Gus directly faced the place where Lin Wuya and Hawkeye were duel, and transmitted the battle screen to the headquarters. The office of the Marshal Naval Headquarters, after waiting 10 minutes. Finally, I waited for the battle screen from Guth. Immediately afterwards, two figures appeared in their field of vision. Lin Wuya, Hawkeye. However, all of them were stunned by the scene they saw. The sky above the two of them actually cracked. Inside the Marshal's office, Sengoku, Garp, Zephyr, Crane and others looked at the picture, and the cracked sky above their heads was shocked for a while. Even the sky was split apart. This is too amazing. Bogart, go and get a pack of senbei for my office. I want to take a good look. Watch this battle. Garp sat there and turned towards Bogart Dow. Yes. Garp Vice Admiral. Bogart, Garp's adjutant, nodded towards Garp, and then left the Marshal's office. Not long after, he returned, holding a pack of senbei in his hand. Taking the senbei from Bogart's hand, Garp sat there, chewing the senbei while watching the showdown on the screen. Although the others are not as leisurely as Garp, their eyes are all on the battle screen. This is also true of Marshal Sengoku and Suru. Maybe the two of them didn't want to watch before, but when the battle scene really appeared in front of them, Sengoku and Crane were also aroused. They wanted to see where this old gentleman and Hawkeye would fight in the swordsmanship duel. Or, which one of them is stronger in swordsmanship. The perspective switches to the shore. Lin Wuya and Yingyan stood looking at each other. The sea is still the sea, but the isolated island beside them is not there anymore. Most of the original high mountain peaks have been destroyed, and the trees on the isolated island have also been completely destroyed. These were caused by the previous battle between the two of them. Looking around, there is almost no place in the whole island intact. In just 10 minutes of fighting, the entire island was turned into ruins. It's amazing. On the sea level, Robin looked at the destroyed island, his beautiful eyes flashed with deep shock. The confrontation between the top swordsmen is truly terrifying. But having said that, with the strength of the teacher, you should be able to defeat Hawkeye with ease. How come you haven't been able to tell the outcome after playing for so long? Enel said puzzledly. That's because the teacher wants to see if the strength of Hawkeye has reached that level. Rayleigh said. That's it. Enel nodded clearly. But soon, the previous confrontation teacher should almost see the strength of Hawkeye, and the next battle should not be the same as before. Rayleigh said faintly. On the shore, Hawkeye stood there at night holding a black knife. However, at this moment, his brows were tightened. So strong. No matter how he launches the offensive, the opponent can take it one-on-one, and he can also counterattack unhurriedly. Not a strong word can describe it. Brush. As his thoughts turned, Hawkeye attacked again. However, it was no longer the melee as before. This time Hawkeye chose to attack from a distance. It was like the first attack on Lin Wuya, but the difference is, this time, Hawkeye's long-range attack is much stronger than the first. Brush. Holding He Dao Yi tightly with both hands, Hawkeye stepped on the ground behind him with one foot, and then volleyed. Next moment, a black slash flew from the black sword in the night. In Naval Headquarters, in the Marshal's office, Garp, who was chewing senbei, looked at this scene in the battle scene and couldn't help but smile. It seems that the guy Hawkeye is starting to work hard. This old gentleman is really terrifying. Not only is his strength superb, his swordsmanship has reached such a terrifying level, and he has forced Hawkeye to this point. He held his chin with both hands, looked at the eagle eye in the battle scene, and said solemnly. Although the battle scene from the videophone worm is not too clear, but Crane can still see that this matchup is a downwind for Hawkeye. Because of the whole process, this old gentleman did not launch an offense, but only defended. But this is the case, Hawkeye still has nothing to do with him. Who is strong and who is weak, at a glance. On the coast, black slashes swept out, like a black curtain piercing the void. Wherever he went, the trees and mountains were cut open like tofu. Then with a loud noise, the upper part of the entire island flew directly into the air. Hawkeye's blow directly split the entire island in half. My God. On the sea level, the pirates who watched the battle had their mouths grown at this moment. With just one knife, the entire island was split apart. And not part of it is split, but the whole is split. This is too scary. As expected to be the man standing at the top of the world's swordsman, Mahawk Hawkeye is really terrifying. One of the pirates said in shock. On the coast, the eagle-eyed eyes that shot this blow stared at Lin Wuya. If the opponent can take this blow, then he really has no move. Because this is the strongest slash he can issue at the moment. Lin Wuya moved under the gaze of Hawkeye's annotations, and saw him mention the big sharp knife Mingyue in his hand. As expected to be the most apex man of the swordsmen in the world, he is amazing. But it's a pity, it's still a bit short. Talking. Lin Wuya shook Mingyue with a sharp wave. Next moment. A slasher shot that was stronger than that of Hawkeye. Puff. The two slashes collided from the air, and the slashes launched by the eagle eye broke into pieces in an instant. Then he swept across the gap in the mountain, and swept towards the eagle eye. Before he could think about it, Hawkeye directly put He Dao Yi in front of him, and then collided with Lin Wuya's slashing blow. Without the previous evenly matched situation, Hawkeye's whole person glided directly backwards this time. As for Hawkeye's hands holding He Dao Yi trembling violently. Then, accompanied by a sound. The He Dao Yi in Hawkeye's hand was directly flew out by a violent shock, dashed a few times in the air, and plunged into the sand. The breeze blew across the sea, bringing waves of waves. Occasionally, a few seagulls flew past and made low noises. On the beach, Lin Wuya stood there. As for Hawkeye, he was standing opposite him. Beside Hawkeye, the supreme big knife and black knife slanted into the ground at night. This scene was conveyed to Naval headquarters through the videophone worm of the Marine branch. Everyone including Sengoku and Garp was stunned. Lost. The world's largest swordsman unexpectedly lost. And it was a complete defeat, without any suspense. Not only that, even He Dao Yi was shocked. Unbelievable. Sengoku stared at the horribly defeated Hawkeye in the picture, with an unconcealable astonishment on his face. He originally thought it was just a simple swordsmanship competition. Hawkeye should be able to compete with Lin Wuya. After all, Hawkeye is the world's largest swordsman, standing at the top of the world's swordsmen. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be such a situation. In just tens of minutes, Hawkeye was directly defeated, and was defeated without any suspense. I can't believe that besides his own strength, this old gentleman has even reached such a terrifying level of swordsmanship. So powerful that even the world's largest swordsman, Eagle Eye Metric, is not even an opponent. This is indeed unbelievable. Garp, who has always been careless, was deeply shocked at this moment. He also did not expect that it was just a pure swordsmanship competition, and Eagle Eye was not an opponent at all. Why is it not an opponent at all? That's because Lin Wuya has been in passive defense throughout the battle. From the beginning to the present, he only took the initiative to attack this time. However, it was this time that Hawkeye was defeated directly. Moreover, in the face of Lin Wuya's attack, Hawkeye didn't even hold the knife, and was shocked. It is conceivable that if Lin Wuya had launched such an offensive from the very beginning. What will be the result? There is no doubt that Hawkeye will be defeated instantly. These thoughts flashed in his mind, and the horror on Garp's face couldn't help but thicken. It takes what level of swordsmanship to achieve a single blow to defeat the Eagle Eye? On the other side, at sea level, the pirates who were watching the battle were also stunned at this moment, looking at the black sword knight that was diagonally inserted beside Hawkeye. Their shocked mouths are all elder bosses. The world's largest swordsman unexpectedly lost, and he lost to this old gentleman in a pure swordsmanship competition. Lie? Lie, right? They have also heard about the strength of Lin Wuya. Ka Zan San Admiral did not fall into the wind, and fled after defeating him. But they didn't expect that this person's swordsmanship had reached such a terrifying level, so terrible that even Hawkeye was not an opponent. They can imagine what kind of shock will be caused if the results of today's battle are spread to the outside world. I am afraid that the entire new world is a sensation. After all, Eagle Eye's swordsmanship is recognized as the best in the world, and even 4 emperors Shanks only drew with it. However, with such a powerful existence, he actually lost to this old gentleman in swordsmanship. And it was a fiasco without any suspense. Teacher, this swordsmanship is a bit scary. On the deck, Rayleigh smacked his lips. Isn't he shocked? Although he knew that even if it was a pure swordsmanship competition, even Hawkeye would definitely not be the teacher's opponent. But he did not expect that Hawkeye would lose so thoroughly. Although the entire battle lasted more than 10 minutes, he knew that Hawkeye was actually killed by the teacher with a single blow. Because the teacher did not take the initiative in the whole battle, and the only one who took the initiative was only once. Hawkeye stood on the beach, and in front of him was a gully hundreds of meters long, which was left by him when he retreated. Looking at the black sword knight slanting into the ground, Yingyan couldn't help but tremble. One hit. Just a blow, he was defeated. And even He Dao Yi couldn't hold it. Even if he knew in advance that he was likely to lose in this matchup, he did not expect that he would be defeated so badly. The swordsmanship he had practiced so hard for so many years was no match for this old gentleman's casual blow. Rao is also a little unacceptable how calm the eagle eye is in his heart. Step on. At this time, a sound of footsteps came before him. Hawkeye raised his head, and then he saw Lin Wuya walking towards him. 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Lin Wuya stopped at a distance of 5 meters from the eagle eye. He looked at the somewhat stricken eagle eye, and said faintly, "Don't be so frustrated. Even if I win, the world's #1 swordsman is still yours." "Yes," I said, "I have no interest in this kind of stuff. I lost to you. Am I still qualified to sit in this seat?" Hawkeye gave a bitter smile. He knew that when his black sword knight was shaken flying, the title of the world's #1 swordsman no longer belonged to him. "This has nothing to do with me. It's your business to sit or not. Anyway, I have no interest in this kind of thing." After speaking, Lin Wuya turned and left. Leave Hawkeye standing there alone. Tread. With his feet on the ground, Lin Wuya jumped onto the deck and threw Mingyue to Rayleigh. "Let's go." "Yes, teacher." Rayleigh nodded, and then started the boat. Ship gradually moved away and disappeared. On the coast, Hawkeye stood there for a long time before he came back to his senses. Then he turned around and looked at the boat shadow that was gradually going away, and then he jumped into his boat as if he had made some determination. But it is not leaving. Instead, he chased Lin Wuya. He wants to apprentice. Lin Wuya is gone, so is Hawkeye. However, the previous scene of the two fighting still remained there. Looking around, the entire island was almost destroyed. Trees, mountains, waiting for everything to be destroyed to pieces. This scene fell into the eyes of the pirates who were watching the battle, passed to the naval headquarters through the video phone worm, and fell into the eyes of those high-level leaders in the headquarters. All of them were shocked. In just tens of minutes, the entire island was destroyed like this. The contest between the top swordsmen is really terrifying. But compared to this, what shocked them more was the result of the previous battle. The world's #1 swordsman Hawkeye Mahawk, it was defeated. In the marshal's office, Paluzolino sitting in a chair said, "Mr. Sengoku, if this old gentleman commits something in the future, don't send me, you go. I can't handle it. Don't send me anymore." Kuzan also opened his mouth. Maybe they had thoughts about Lin Wuya before, but after watching the battle between Lin Wuya and Hawkeye, they didn't have this idea anymore. Not only the fruit's strength is terrifying, but even the swordsmanship is so terrifying, and even the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye, Mahawk, is completely unmatched. This kind of opponent. They are afraid that if they go again next time, they may not be able to come back. New World, Lin Wuya and Eagle Eye are fighting on a sea level next to the isolated island. A pirate ship stopped there. It was the pirates who had been watching the battle standing on the boat. Even if half an hour has passed since the end of the battle, they are still in shock. They couldn't believe that Hawkeye had lost. After a while, a pirate spoke up. He asked his captain, "Bye guys, boss. Are we leaving now or are we?" "Leave." Jess said with a feverish look. "This kind of news must not only be known to us, but also the guys in New World must know." Boat. "Yes, boss." The ship started and went away quickly. Soon, it disappeared on the sea level. After leaving here, Bai guys passed the battle between Lin Wuya and Hawkeye. Like mushrooms after a rain, the news spread in New World in an instant. For a time, it caused a sensation in the entire New World. They couldn't believe that Hawkeye had lost to that old gentleman, and it was still in a pure swordsmanship competition. My goodness, that old man is too strong. In fact, if Hawkeye loses the old gentleman in the competition of their own strength, they don't think much. After all, that old gentleman is an existence that can defeat even 3 admiral. But this time the competition is swordsmanship. Pure swordsmanship. As the world's largest swordsman, Eagle Eye is recognized as the strongest swordsman in the world. In the swordsmanship competition, Hawkeye actually lost. Incredible. New World. IWC, Cake Island. The one who lives here is 4 Emperor's Big Mom. Listening to the news from Perispero, she was stunned. Then she glared her eyes and said in disbelief, "What? That old guy defeated Hawkeye with a sword." Eagle Eye's swordsmanship Big Mom is known, very strong. Even as the four emperors, if she is a pure swordsmanship competition, she does not think she can beat Hawkeye. The old man defeated Hawkeye in the swordsmanship competition. And it's still a hit. Is this old guy a monster? Wano-kuni, Ghost Island. This is the site of the four emperors Kaido. Like four emperors Big Mom, he also learned the news. And his expression is the same as Big Mom, shocked. Defeated Hawkeye with a sword? Or is it a one-shot spike? That old guy is so scary. Aunts far away in Wanguo, Wano-kuni, and Kaido all received the news. Four emperors Whitebeard and Red Hair were naturally received too. Aboard the Moby Dick. Whitebeard sat in the middle of the pass and laughed and said, "Goo-la-la-la, Marco, your teacher is really terrifying. He defeated Hawkeye and defeated him with a sword." Although he lives in the Four Emperors, Whitebeard knows the Eagle Eye. I also know how strong Eagle Eye's swordsmanship is. Similarly, if it is purely a swordsmanship without using any abilities, Whitebeard believes that he can't beat Hawkeye. However, Marco's teacher defeated the old gentleman with a simple sword. And it is rumored that he only took the initiative to take the initiative once, but this time, it directly defeated Hawkeye. Even Hawkeye's knife was blown away. Even Whitebeard was quite shocked. The teacher Marco is a bit outrageous. The teacher is really scary. Marco sat on the side of the ship, his face full of excitement. The teacher is the teacher. Every news that comes out is a sensation in the world. First, the person who wounded the government was rewarded by Marine with a staggering 1.5 billion Baileys. Then there was another special killing on the Grand Line, slaughtering 40,000 pirates in 6 hours. Then they killed celestial dragons at Sabodi Archipelago, and even Marine 3 Admiral, who was still fighting, all escaped, and Marine offered a reward of 10 billion Pele. And now it has defeated Hawkeye, and it is still in a pure swordsmanship competition. Worthy of being a teacher, they are not comparable to these disciples. New World, an isolated island. Stationed here is four emperors' red hair pirates. Rikilu, who is obese and gnaws on chicken legs, turned to Shanks with a look of surprise. "Boss, your teacher is too scary." "Even the boss, you just drew with Hawkeye in swordsmanship. Your teacher defeated Hawkeye with a single blow." "Haha. How else would you be a teacher?" Shanks laughed loudly, and then took out a jar of wine. "Little ones, it's a banquet." Although I haven't seen a teacher until now, Shanks is still very happy. Because there is always news about teachers from the outside world. And every time it was quite a sensation. This time he defeated Hawkeye with one blow. As a friend of Eagle Eye, Shanks can imagine the expression of Eagle Eye when he is defeated, and he must be confused. Dressrosa. Inside the palace. Plates of delicacies were brought in by the maid and placed neatly on the table. Looking around, the table is full of hearty dishes and good wine. Extravagance to the extreme. Sitting at the table was a man in a pink coat. The man has wild blonde hair and wears a pair of sunglasses. It is Doflamingo. The past 6 months have scared Lousy, and today Lousy has a big meal to make up for it. Sitting on the chair, Doflamingo picked up the glass and drank fiercely. Doflamingo felt a burst of anger at the thought of how he had been in fear every day and night for the past 6 months. It is really not good to eat or not to sleep well. The result? The old guy was playing tricks on him and didn't come at all. Doflamingo was so angry in his heart. "Damn old thing, don't let me meet you in the future." Doflamingo was sitting there cursing while drinking. Picking up a glass of wine, Doflamingo took another sip. However, the wine was not swallowed, and a rush of footsteps sounded. Lifting his head, Doflamingo saw Toripal rushing in with a panic face. Seeing it looks like something happened. "What's wrong?" Doflamingo frowned and asked. "The big thing is not good, Dover." "The old gentleman who disappeared half a year ago appeared again," Toripal said nervously. Doflamingo's frightened face changed, and the wine that had just reached his throat also rolled over, causing him to cough violently. Ahem. It took a long time before Doflamingo stopped. However, he didn't care about it. He just got up from the chair and looked at Toripal with a look of horror. "What did you just say? That old guy appeared again?" "Yes. Dover." Holding a cane and covered in mucus, Toripal nodded in panic. Just now there was news that the old gentleman has appeared again, and he is still in the New World. "I heard that he had a fight with Hawkeye Mahawk and defeated Hawkeye with one blow." Doflamingo didn't listen to the sentence that Toripal said later. At this moment, his attention was all focused on the previous sentence. That old gentleman appeared in New World. At this moment, Doflamingo's heart was about to collapse. What a joke. It didn't appear for half a year, and it appeared in New World as soon as it appeared. He didn't think that the old guy was simply coming to New World and definitely came to him. After all, in half a year, he issued a reward order from the other party in the underground world, and the reward amount was 1 billion higher than the 1.5 billion Bailey reward issued by Marine at that time. A full 2.5 billion Baileys, 20,000 underground assassins were attracted to get his head. That old guy definitely came to New World to find him. Absolutely. Dover. What should I do now? Do you want to run? Toripel asked towards Doflamingo. He felt that he had to escape. After all, the strength of the old gentleman was terrifying. Not only did he defeat Marine Admiral, but he also defeated Hawkeye with pure swordsmanship, and he defeated him with a single blow. If such a terrifying old man came to Dressrosa, they would have nowhere to escape. Kidding. Even Marine 3 Admiral lost to him, how could they be able to beat him? It is estimated that as soon as they meet, they will be killed by the other party. How to escape? That old guy has already come to New World, where can he escape? Desperate Doflamingo just sat down on the chair. The good wine and food in front of you are not fragrant at this moment. Doflamingo's face was ashes. It's over. This time it's completely over. If you escape half a year ago, you may still have a chance. But now. The old guy came to New World, and they had nowhere to escape. Despair hung in Doflamingo's heart. He knew very well that when the old guy came to Dressrosa, his life would end there. New World. Somewhere in the sea. On the sea level, a ship sailed quietly. Naturally, the 4 people on board were Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel, Robin and their apprentices. After ending the Hawkeye battle earlier, Lin Wuya let Rayleigh chase the boat and leave. So far, I have been sailing in New World for about an hour. On the deck, Rayleigh glanced at the ghost boat behind the ship, and then said to Lin Wuya, who was sitting in a chair drinking a little wine, "Teacher. The eagle eye is still following." Lin Wuya took a sip from the wineglass, and said faintly, "If he wants to follow, let him follow. Anyway, New World is not ours. What he wants to do and where he wants to go is his freedom." "But it's not a problem to follow this way," Rayleigh said. "Don't worry about him, just drive your boat." Lin Wuya's attitude was as indifferent as before. "Okay." Rayleigh sighed, then glanced at the eagle eyes sitting on the ghost boat again. Even he didn't expect that after losing to the teacher, Eagle Eye would follow them all the time. "I haven't left for a full hour." For Hawkeye, Rayleigh is getting more and more incomprehensible now. This guy has been following their boat. What is this, brother? Was it dissatisfied and defeated by the teacher? But if you don't agree, it's fine to challenge the teacher again. What does it mean to keep following? However, as a disciple, Rayleigh has no right to interfere with this. After all, this is a matter between the teacher and Hawkeye. And the teacher has said not to let him take care of it, so naturally it is not easy for him to intervene in this matter. As the teacher said, if Hawkeye wants to follow, let him follow. On the sea level, the 4 masters and apprentices Lin Wuya, Rayleigh, Enel, Robin continued sailing on the boat. As for Hawkeye, he still followed closely behind. This picture lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Although I said that before, I saw it sailing for 3 days and 3 nights. Hawkeye is still following closely, and Lin Wuya is also a little impatient. He got up from his chair and came to the stern of the boat. "You have been following us like this, what are you going to do?" With his hands behind him, Lin Wuya asked, looking at the eagle eye sitting on the boat. Hawkeye didn't speak, he just sat quietly in his ghost boat. I don't know if it was because of the terrible defeat that Lin Wuya suffered a heart attack, or because he didn't know how to answer Lin Wuya. Seeing that Eagle Eye did not answer him, Lin Wuya immediately smiled and asked, "Want to apprentice?" Lin Wuya asked this question casually, also to tease Hawkeye. But Hawkeye's reaction made Lin Wuya a little startled. He was sitting in the boat and nodded towards Lin Wuya. "Yeah. This guy actually wants to worship the teacher as a teacher, has been following for so long." There was a shock on Rayleigh's face. If this was spoken from someone else, Rayleigh wouldn't be surprised. But speaking from the eagle eyes, it shocked Rayleigh. It is rumored that Hawkeye has never worshipped anyone as a teacher, and he also explored his superb swordsmanship. And his character is even more arrogant. Never succumb to people, and don't like to deal with people. Even after becoming a pirate, Hawkeye has always been alone, and has not changed for so many years. It's an alternative among the pirates. However, such an arrogant and withdrawn eagle eye actually wants to worship the teacher as a teacher. How can this not surprise Rayleigh? In order to become strong, does this man worship his teacher as a teacher even if he puts down his figure, dignity, and arrogance? Interesting. Lin Wuya smiled. He said that earlier purely to make fun of Hawkeye, but what he didn't expect was that he had said it. This guy really wants to worship him as a teacher. The scene before him reminded Lin Wuya of Zoro's apprenticeship in the original book. In order to become stronger, Zoro would not hesitate to give up his dignity and defeat Eagle Eye as a teacher. This is not the case with Hawkeye at the moment. Although he didn't kneel down like Zoro, begging. But the word, already made Hawkeye put down all his body and dignity. Because Hawkeye is not Zoro, not the Zoro who was forced into desperation by a pacifist in Saboti Archipelago. He is the world's largest swordsman and the man who stands at the top of the world's swordsmen. For a person like this, even if it is just a word, and a nod, it is enough to represent everything. Since you want to apprentice a teacher, it would be nice to say no. Why bother to follow until now, not tired? Lin Wuya smiled at Hawkeye. Hawkeye did not speak, but his eyes became excited. Did you agree to his request to be a teacher? Seeing Yingyan's excitement, Lin Wuya smiled and shook his head. Come on. According to the following sentence, Lin Wuya turned around and left from the stern and returned to the center of the ship. As for Hawkeye, his eyes are full of excitement at the moment. Although Lin Wuya did not agree to him positively, letting him aboard the boat also showed to a certain extent that the other party was willing to accept him as a disciple. Thinking of this, the excitement on Hawkeye's face couldn't help but become thicker. Immediately afterwards, he stood up and jumped onto Lin Wuya's boat. As for his ghost boat, Hawkeye left it alone. Compared to Lin Wuya's promise to accept him as a disciple, his boat is nothing. If it's gone, it's gone. Besides, his ship is not a treasure, he can make one at will. If it's gone, go back and make another one. After jumping on the boat, Hawkeye walked in front of Lin Wuya, and then knelt down on one knee directly towards Lin Wuya. Thank you, old man, for agreeing to accept me as a disciple. Don't worship me. I didn't promise you. Lin Wuya sat on the chair and smiled at Hawkeye. You didn't promise to accept me as a disciple, so why did you let me go on board? Hawkeye asked with a frown. To let you on my ship is to promise to accept you as a disciple. Who told you? Lin Wuya said with a smile. This, Hawkeye was startled. He didn't understand. Since Lin Wuya didn't plan to accept him as a disciple, what would he do to get on the boat? Is it pity that he will be tired if he keeps following behind? Looking at the startled look of Hawkeye, Lin Wuya smiled faintly, and immediately took a sip from the wine glass. Then he turned to Eagle Eye. I won't accept you as a disciple, but it's okay to give you some guidance. The sentence Lin Wuya said earlier made Hawkeye a touch of disappointment, but the latter sentence made him look happy again. The original intention of his apprenticeship was not to get Lin Wuya's guidance to make his swordsmanship go further. Since Lin Wuya is willing to advise him, what is the relationship between the success of his apprenticeship? After all, apprenticeship is just an honor, what he really wants is Lin Wuya's guidance. Thank you, old man, Hawkeye said with a look of excitement. Don't rush to thank me. Lin Wuya smiled at Hawkeye and said, I promise to point you one or two, but it's not unlimited. For half a year, you will be behind me for the next half year, and I will give you pointers. As for which step you can achieve, it depends on your understanding. Good. Half a year may be short in the eyes of other people, but it is long enough in the eyes of Hawkeye. Half a year is enough for his swordsmanship to make a big step on his own. On the contrary, if you follow Lin Wuya for half a year, you still can't move forward. Then it can only be said that his swordsmanship can only stop here for the rest of his life. With the boarding of Hawkeye, the number of people on board has increased from 4 to 5. Of course, Hawkeye is not like Rayleigh, Enel, Robin, and the three of them are Lin Wuya's disciples. He was on the boat because he wanted to be guided by Lin Wuya. In the next 6 months, Hawkeye will stay on the ship. As for Lin Wuya's promise to point Hawkeye, he was not moved by the perseverance that Hawkeye has been following them for 3 days and 3 nights. It was Hawkeye's determination to apprentice. A man like Hawkeye is willing to put down his figure and self-esteem in order to become stronger, so what's the matter with his advice? Anyway, on the next road, apart from looking at the colorful world outside, there is nothing else. Why not take this time to give a pointer to Hawkeye and see what step the world's largest swordsman can achieve under his guidance? The half-year time limit set by Lin Wuya for Eagle Eye is not because Lin Wuya has no patience to set the time at half a year, but because Eagle Eye itself is considered. After all, Hawkeye is no one else. He is the world's largest swordsman and the man who stands at the top of the world's swordsmen. Although his swordsmanship has not reached his level of great perfection, he is also approaching great success. Therefore, for Hawkeye, practicing swordsmanship is completely unnecessary. What he lacks is perception. Realm perception. Only in this way can Eagle Eye go further on its own basis. And to perceive this kind of thing, it is not difficult to say that it is not difficult to say, and it is not easy to say that it is simple. But anyway, half a year is enough. If Hawkeye hasn't realized it in half a year, it can only be said that the limit of Hawkeye is here. It would be in vain to spend any more time pointing him. Teacher, will you go straight to Dressrosa next? Rayleigh asked Lin Wuya. Yeah, go straight ahead. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. It's been half a year since I was sent a message. If I don't go again, others should say I'm not keeping my word. Good. Rayleigh nodded, then started the boat and drove to Dressrosa. On the side, Hawkeye listened to what Lin Wuya said, and curiously asked Rayleigh, is anyone offending the old gentleman? Although there is no indication in Lin Wuya's words, Eagle Eyes can still hear that Lin Wuya's going to Dressrosa does not seem to be purely for keeping promises. It's like dealing with some guy. Yeah. Rayleigh smiled and nodded. Half a year ago, Doflamingo issued a teacher's reward order in the underground world, which attracted 20,000 killers to go to the first half of the Grand Line to deal with the teacher. This time I went to Dressrosa to deal with that guy. That's it. Hawkeye nodded clearly. At the same time, I couldn't help but admire Doflamingo's courage, and even dared to issue a reward to Lin Wuya in the underground world. That guy is really playing with fire. Doflamingo's strength is good. Even if it is an Eagle Eye, it is undeniable that it can be regarded as a powerful pirate in New World. But even so, it is impossible to be Lin Wuya's opponent. After all, even if he was defeated so thoroughly, how Doflamingo would be an opponent, even in the eyes of Hawkeye. The entire Don Quixote family was together. It was not enough for Lin Wuya to see. With this move, Doflamingo really killed himself and the entire Don Quixote family. Even if Lin Wuya does not kill Doflamingo, Doflamingo's life will never be better in the future. The ship set sail and headed towards Dressrosa, where Doflamingo is located. At the current rate, Dressrosa can be reached in almost 3 days. And when Lin Wuya went to Dressrosa, at the moment at Naval headquarters, many Marine senior executives gathered together again. This time it was naturally about Lin Wuya. After learning that Lin Wuya had appeared in New World and had a battle with Hawkeye, Sengoku asked New World branches to pay close attention to Lin Wuya's movements. Finally they got the news from the branch earlier. This news is about Lin Wuya's direction of travel. To the southwest of New World. As the Marshal of Naval Headquarters, Sengoku knows the map of New World very well. He even knew the location of each island and country. In the southwest direction of New World, there is only one place where ships sailing in this direction finally arrive. That is Dressrosa. Pirate Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo is located. For Doflamingo, Sengoku also knows this person well. Strong strength. The cadres under him are also very strong, such as Toripal, Pika, Sugar, Diamante, etc., are some of the roles that cannot be ignored. Not only that, but Doflamingo's methods are also very powerful. In the underground world, a series of arms and weapons are sold and sold. The intelligence network is very large. It is even rumored that he is the king of the underground world, has many contacts and relationships, and even has dealings with 4 emperors Kaido. When screening the members of 7 warlords of the sea, Doflamingo came into their sight. However, it was rejected by Garp, and they didn't choose Doflamingo to become 7 warlords of the sea. But anyway, Doflamingo is an extremely dangerous figure. Therefore, when he knew that Lin Wuya was going to Dressrosa, Sengoku frowned. What does this old man go to Dressrosa for? He didn't worry that Doflamingo would threaten this old gentleman. What he was worried about was whether Doflamingo might have some kind of relationship with this old gentleman. After all, Doflamingo's relationship network is very large. If there is a connection between him and this old gentleman, it seems impossible. What do you think of this matter? Sengoku sat there, sweeping away the many marine high levels in front of him. The thing he asked was naturally about Lin Wuya going to Dressrosa. I don't have any opinion. Where does the old gentleman go is his business, his freedom. If you go to Dressrosa and sigh. What does it matter? Garp sat and said while chewing senbei. Sengoku knew that Garp would say this, so he didn't expect Garp to say his opinion, and instead looked at Crane. Crane sat there with his hands on his chin and said, I think the old gentleman went to Dressrosa because of something that happened half a year ago. That thing half a year ago. What is it? Sengoku frowned. It was not a rumor half a year ago. 20,000 underground world assassins also went to the first half of the Grand Line to take the first level of the old man, but were all killed by the old man? Crane sat there and said toward Sengoku. There is such a thing. But what does it have to do with that old gentleman going to Dressrosa? Sengoku looked at Tsuru suspiciously, and the others also cast curious glances. At this time, Zephyr stared, and then opened his mouth to the crane. Could it be that Doflamingo sent the 20,000 killers? No. But I can't get rid of Doflamingo, Crane smiled. What does this mean? Zephyr frowned, and a look of doubt flashed in the eyes of the others. Didn't Doflamingo send 723 to go there, but it has nothing to do with Doflamingo. These killers were not sent by Doflamingo, but they went to assassinate the old gentleman in the first half of the Grand Line because of Doflamingo. Crane told the whole story. The rumor is that Doflamingo issued a reward for the old gentleman in the underground world, which attracted 20,000 killers from the underground world to take the old gentleman's first level. And it is said that the amount of reward is 1 billion Baileys higher than the amount of reward we issued to that old gentleman at that time. A full 2.5 billion Baileys. Hearing what Tsuru said, the expressions of some marine executives including Sengoku changed slightly. Jingren is because Doflamingo issued a reward order in the underground world, which attracted the killers. They really don't know this at all. Crane, are you telling the truth? Sengoku asked at Crane. In Sengoku's view, if what Tsuru said is true, then he doesn't need to worry at all. It's true. Crane smiled and nodded. But Crane, how did you know this? It was Zephyr who asked this. They didn't know anything about this, and it could even be said that everyone present didn't even know it. How did Crane know? He is curious. Have you forgotten my identity? Crane smiled and said, I'm Marine's chief staff officer. Collecting information is my specialty. Moreover, there are eyeliners sent by me in the underground world. I learned all these things from their mouths. Hearing that, Zephyr's face changed involuntarily, and he planted an eyeliner in the underground world. He did not know how many things he did during his years as Marine's chief staff officer. Other people's facial expressions are the same as Zephyr. Quite surprised. They all know that Crane's layout and strategy are quite advanced, but they didn't expect Crane's hands to reach the underground world. Seeing the surprised expressions of everyone present, he smiled and said, Don't look at me like that. You only need to know that this time the old gentleman went to Dressrosa, not because Doflamingo has a relationship with him. In addition, the old gentleman's going to Dressrosa is a good thing for us Marine to some extent. After all, we Marine has never caught Doflamingo in these years. So if the old gentleman killed Doflamingo because of this, it would be considered a big trouble for our Marine. Hearing what Tsuru said, Sengoku's expression also became exciting. It seems to be so. It seems that I not only don't need to worry, but I should be happy. Sengoku sat there with a smile. Yes. Crane smiled and nodded. Doflamingo is a big hidden danger. Not only is it powerful, but it also has a high status in the underground world. If he dies, it will benefit us Marine without any harm. After speaking, she looked at Sengoku. In another country, you order the generals stationed in Dressrosa branch. Tell them that the old man named Lin Wuya will go to Dressrosa soon. Let them pay attention. Once you find that Doflamingo was killed by the old man, immediately notify the headquarters, and we can send someone to clean up the remnants of the Don Quixote family. Okay. Sengoku nodded, and then he drafted a document in the name of his marshal and sent it to the Dressrosa branch. After doing all this, Sengoku leaned back in his chair. The file has been distributed, and now only needs to wait for news from the Dressrosa branch. After today's incident, Sengoku suddenly discovered that the old man would not only pose a threat to their Marine. To a certain extent, it can help them Marine. Because they can use that old gentleman's hand to help them cleanse the forces of the pirates. Doflamingo is one of them. Half a year ago, the old gentleman's reward was issued in the underground world, and 20,000 killers rushed to the first half of the Grand Line to get the old gentleman's first level. From the fact that the old man killed the celestial dragons in the first half of the Grand Line and Saboti Archipelago, and confronted Sakazuki, Paluzolino, and Kuzan, it can be seen that he is definitely not a soft-hearted person. Going to Dressrosa this time may really kill Doflamingo, and even the entire Don Quixote family may be destroyed by the old gentleman. Lying on the chair, Sengoku smiled and said, It seems that the appearance of this old man is not only a bad thing, but a good thing. Not only Doflamingo, but from Sengoku's point of view, it is impossible to even clean the strength of the four emperors. After all, the strength of the old gentleman is terrifying. Sakazuki, Paluzolino, and Kuzan can win a big victory in a one-man battle. And there are many powerful disciples under his sect. The 3 disciples who accompanied Rayleigh, Nico Robin and the disciple named Enel were also terrifying. The overall combat power of the 3 men hardly loses to their own 3 admiral. Although the power of the 4 emperors is huge, it is not yet an opponent of that old gentleman. So if the 4 emperors also provoke the old gentleman, then maybe they will end up just like Doflamingo. Thinking of this, Sengoku was even more happy. What a sharp knife. Lin Wuya would not have thought that he has been used by Marine as a sharp knife for cleaning New World pirates. If you know it, I'm afraid you will laugh at Marine's stupidity. Want me to help you clean up the pirate power? Haha. You guys really think too much, New World. After sailing for almost a day and night, Lin Wuya stopped. The reason why I stopped was not because I got to dress Rosa. Instead, the shadow of a ship appeared directly in front of them. And it's not an ordinary ship, it's a huge ship shrunk like an island. The whole body is made of gold, and when viewed from a distance, it looks like a huge piece of pure gold. Not only that, but the ship is also equipped with quite luxurious facilities, such as playgrounds and Ferris wheels. The first time I saw such a big ship, there was a hint of interest in Enel's eyes. From leaving Sky Island to entering New World, the largest ship he has ever seen can hold thousands of people. This is the first time I have seen you in such a big ship. And it was not an ordinary ship, it was made of gold, which aroused Enel's curiosity even more. This is the Grand Tesoro. The world's largest entertainment city, whose owner is Tesoro, has nearly 20% of the world's wealth. Rayleigh looked at the large ship in front of him and said its identity. Although Rayleigh has been washing hands in the Golden Basin for many years, he still knows a little about the New World situation, including Tesoro and his Grand Tesoro. Once Rayleigh also thought about coming to the Grand Tesoro to take a gamble, but thinking that in New World, he needed to cross the Red Line or go through the Fishman Island to get here, Rayleigh gave up this idea. What Rayleigh didn't expect was that this time he came to New World with his teacher and encountered this playground where he once wanted to gamble. Is this to make up for his regrets back then? Turning his head, Rayleigh looked at Lin Wuya. Teacher, would you like to go in and play? Rayleigh naturally wanted to go in and play, but he was a disciple after all, so he still had to ask the teacher what he meant. If the teacher does not want to play, then he will naturally not go in. Besides, if the teacher doesn't play, it doesn't make much sense for him to go in and play alone. You want to go in and play, right? Lin Wuya looked at Rayleigh and smiled. This guy obviously wants to play, so he has to ask him if he wants to play. Hey. I want to go in and play, but I have to ask the teacher for your permission. Rayleigh made no secret of his inner thoughts. You kid. Lin Wuya smiled and shook his head, and then he looked at the Grand Tesoro again, and said lightly, then go in and play. It just happened that I was a little tired on the way as a teacher, go in and relax. Relaxation is also good. Hearing this, Rayleigh's face suddenly became happy, and he immediately said to Lin Wuya, then I will drive the boat in. Yeah. Lin Wuya nodded. Turning the rudder, Rayleigh started the ship and followed the passage into the Grand Tesoro. Unlike everything seen on the outside of the Grand Tesoro, it is still more luxurious inside. Looking into the eyes, it is resplendent and magnificent. Even the seawater turned golden. All around, there are sexy girls dancing hot dances in bikinis. Further up, you can see countless audiences. It's worthy of being the world's #1 entertainment city. It really is luxurious. Robin stood on the boat, looking at everything inside. A shocking color flashed in his eyes. Regarding the Grand Tesoro, Robin had heard of it in the past, and it is said that everything here is quite luxurious. What she didn't expect was that it turned out to be so luxurious. If you change to someone who is not strong in concentration, I am afraid that you will directly fall into it as soon as you enter here. It's luxurious, it's a bit too much. Especially this gold is too much, more than our Sky Island. Standing on the boat, Enel looked at all the buildings made of gold around him, and couldn't help but speak. He always thought that the amount of gold in their Sky Island should be the largest in the world, but after coming here, he found that the gold here was even more terrifying than their Sky Island. No, it's much scary. That's because the owner of this ship is a golden fruit-capable person. He can continuously make gold through his own abilities. Rayleigh explained. No wonder. Enel suddenly. It turned out to be a golden fruit ability person. No wonder this gold is more than their Sky Island. At this time, the Eagle Eye, who had not spoken, said, pay attention to the golden dust from the sky. Don't get it. These golden dust will enter people's bodies. It is said that Tesoro uses this to control those who enter here. Is there anything else? Enel frowned. Hawkeye nodded his head. It's not as good as it seems. Its owner, Tesoro, is a guy with a very dark heart. But most of the people who enter here will be controlled by it using gold powder, and then become his slave. Interesting. Enel grinned. He originally thought it was just a pure amusement city. It doesn't seem to be right now. It is a good way to use gold powder to control the people who enter here. Tesoro, right. I will meet this guy if I have a chance. A cold light flashed in Enel's eyes. In his opinion, if this guy named Tesoro didn't make these methods okay for him, if that guy really did, then he didn't mind giving the other party a taste of death. The ship kept advancing along the current, and when it had traveled about 50 meters, 4 pirate ships rushed towards this place. Formed a double-team situation, surrounded Lin Wuya and the others. Immediately afterwards, a man with a long knife stood up. He stared at Lin Wuya and the group with a grinning smile. We are members of the Snow Leopard Pirates. Hand it over. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. I was robbed as soon as I came in. This luck is really bad. Looking at the 4 pirate ships that surrounded them, Lin Wuya smiled faintly, and immediately looked at Enel beside him. Enel. Let's solve it. Yes, teacher. Enel nodded, and then stood up. He glanced at the pirates around him, and a smirk flicked at the corner of his mouth. Dare to hit my teacher's attention. You are really impatient to live. Go. Little ones. Kill these guys, their money is ours. Roar. On the 4 boats, countless pirates swarmed and rushed towards Lin Wuya. However, in the next instant, a glare of lightning entered the air, stopping all of them. Then what is that? Lightning. How can I see lightning in broad daylight? In midair, lightning condensed and finally formed a figure. It was a naked man with a white turban on his head, holding a golden stick, and behind him were 4 drums engraved with 3-hooked jade. The man is Enel. Levitating in midair, Enel stared at the pirates of the 4 pirate ships below, and smiled lightly. I don't care who you are. Either the pirates or the merchants, since you have chosen to attack us. Then realize it. Talking. Enel raised the golden stick in his hand and lightly tapped on the 4 3-hooked jade drums behind him. ZZ. Countless thunder and lightning condensed to form 4 thunder dragons. 4 thunder dragons hovered above Enel's head, and the bright thunder light radiated the entire Grand Solo. Around, the audience who watched the performance was attracted by the 4 thunder dragons in midair at this moment. Immediately afterwards, everyone's faces were filled with a touch of amazement. Thunder dragon. A lie. Who was that guy? In midair, Enel looked at the pirates on the 4 boats below, and said faintly, die. The voice fell. The 4 thunder dragons suspended above Enel's head directly smashed down and landed on the 4 pirate ships. Boom. In an instant, the entire Grand Solo was released. The audience around them couldn't open their eyes because of the thunderlight, and it took a while to relax. However, the scene they saw made all of them suddenly shrink. In the entire Golden Sea, except for the other ship, all the other 4 ships disappeared. Just what happened just now, all the 4 boats disappeared. Oh my god, just one blow turned the 4 pirate ships into nothingness. This is too terrifying. Who the hell is this guy? At this moment, in a hall of the Grand Solo. On the sofa, a man in a yellow coat was sitting there. He was wearing a pair of sunglasses. Tesoro is his name, and he is also the owner of the Grand Solo. Looking at the picture on the monitoring screen in front of him, Tesoro jokingly smiled. It seems that a few amazing guys have come this time. Master Tesoro. How about these few people? Beside Tesoro, a woman with an enchanting figure spoke. The woman's name is Bakara, one of Tesoro's subordinates. Yes. Tesoro smiled and nodded. It's them. Tesoro naturally knew the 4 people on board. Lin Wuya. Half a year ago, he injured a member of the World Government Intelligence Organization CP9 in Sabodi Archipelago, and he would be hailed as Eni's Lobby CP9 with one punch. Rob Lukey, the strongest player in 800 years, lost his consciousness. Subsequently, Marine offered a reward of 80 million Baileys, and in less than 3 days, the bounty was directly increased to 1.5 billion Baileys. After that, he left Alabasta and disappeared for half a year. It reappeared after half a year, and was killed on the Grand Line. It is rumored that it killed 40,000 pirates within 6 hours. A week later, he appeared in the Sabodi Archipelago, killed celestial dragons in the population auction, and attracted Marine Admiral, fighting 3 Admiral alone with 1 person, and fleeing Marine Admiral. After leaving Sabodi Archipelago, he disappeared for half a year since then. He appeared in New World half a year later, and fought against Mihawk, the world's largest swordsman, and defeated Mihawk with swordsmanship. Rayleigh. Once the deputy captain of Roger's pirate group, he was known as the legendary Big Pirate. Nico Robin. The demon of Ilaha, the most wanted object by the world government. As for the name Enel, although he knows very little about this person, Tesoro is even stranger, but his strength is also strong and terrible. It is rumored that he was one-on-one with Marine Admiral Sakazuki in Sabodi Archipelago, and it was suppressed. Sakazuki. It's also a pretty scary guy. Hawkeye Mihawk, the world's largest swordsman. It's so funny, these guys actually came to me. Tesoro grinned. He thought it was just a few little-known little pirates who came here, but he didn't expect it to be such a terrifying guy. As for the Hawkeye Mihawk being with this old gentleman, although he was a little surprised, he was not so surprised when he thought that Hawkeye had lost to this old gentleman some time ago. It must be because he lost in the swordsmanship competition and was attracted by this old gentleman's powerful swordsmanship, and then he got on his ship. But these are not important anymore. The important thing is that these people are now with him. When Baccarat heard what Tesoro said, a flash of shock flashed in his eyes. These guys really. As a powerful subordinate of Tesoro, Baccarat has naturally heard the rumors of these people. Among them, the old man standing on the boat in the monitoring screen is the one that makes him most thrilling. It is rumored that he defeated Admiral, the third highest naval headquarters in the Sabodi Archipelago, and fled. The power is terrifying to the extreme. This old gentleman actually appeared here, my brother. Master Tesoro. Do we want it? Knowing that the person standing on the boat at this moment is the boiling old gentleman who had been passed on to the outside world some time ago, Baccarat became nervous for a while. Don't be nervous. Tesoro sat on the sofa and smiled. These guys are indeed very strong, especially the old guy is even more terrifying. But here I am not afraid of them. If there is no accident, these guys should have been stained with gold powder. In this case, no matter how strong they are, they still have to listen to me, even the old guy. Golden powder. It is one of the methods that Tesoro uses to control people. As long as the gold powder enters the body, he can use the power of the gold fruit to turn his body into gold. Just imagine when the body becomes gold, his own strength can be played to a few percent. 20%, 10%, or lose combat power. Even Lin Wuya, who defeated Marine 3 Admiral with one enemy and 3, was just a mortal in Tesoro's eyes. As long as the gold powder enters his body, he still has to surrender to him. After all, he is a god. Baccarat was a little nervous at first, but after hearing Tesoro's words, the whole person also relaxed. Not only that, she also laughed. Yes. No matter how strong the person is, as long as the gold powder under the Tesoro wine enters the body, they will still be under the control of Tesoro. That old gentleman is strong. It is so strong that even the 3 Admiral with the highest strength of Marine are not his opponents, but how much strength can he exert when the gold powder enters the body and is turned into gold by Tesoro? Thinking of this, Baccarat suddenly smiled. It seems. She didn't need to worry about their situation at all, on the contrary, the ones who should worry about her own situation were the old gentleman, his 3 disciples, and the Hawkeye Mihawk, who is known as the world's largest swordsman. At this time, Baccarat was even thinking. If the old man who couldn't even dispatch Marine Admiral were born, and planted with them, what kind of impact would it have on the outside world? I'm afraid the whole world will be shocked. By then, even Marine will respect them as guests. After all, they have removed such a big trouble for Marine. Even the world government would be grateful to them. Thinking about it, it's a bit exciting. Turning around, Baccarat asked towards Tesoro, Master Tesoro. What do we do next? Should we just shoot or? It's boring to shoot directly. Dao Zoruo leaned on the sofa and tilted Erlang's legs and said, it's still the same as dealing with those people in the past. Let them win some money first. Then take them to the VIP area, temptation. In this way, we also have a reason to act. That's interesting. Hearing this, Baraka's eyes lit up. Indeed. This is much more interesting than just shooting. I will do it now. After speaking, Baccarat left here directly. On the sofa, Tesoro looked at Lin Wuya and others in the monitoring screen with Erlang's legs upright, and said with a chuckle, you shouldn't be or shouldn't. You shouldn't come to me. Just like those people, they become mine. Get a prisoner. After Enel got rid of the pirates, he returned to the ship. Both Rayleigh and Robin knew about Enel's strength, so when they saw Enel's hand, these pirates were wiped out, and they were not surprised. But Hawkeye is different. Even as the world's #1 swordsman, he was deeply shocked by Enel's strength. 4 pirate ships, hundreds of pirates. It was solved in an instant, and there was no scum left. Such strength is a bit too strong. Compared to this, what shocked him more was Enel's ability. Can release lightning. This is the ability that Demon Fruit Power has. And it's Logia, Nico Robin, Pluton Rayleigh, plus an Enel from Logia. These disciples of Lin Wuya are really terrifying one by one. With Lin Wuya and his 3 disciples alone, I am afraid they can easily destroy a 4 Emperors pirate group. On the deck, thunder and lightning condensed. Turned into Enel himself. Teacher, it's solved. Enel turned to Lin Wuya. Go ahead. Yes, teacher. The ship moved slowly along the golden water, and then stopped at the port. Immediately afterwards, Lin Wuya, Lei Li, Enel and Robin, the 4 masters and apprentices, walked off the boat, along with Hawkeye. As soon as she got off the boat, a red-haired woman with an enchanting figure came to the front. This woman, Rayleigh, Enel, Robin, and Hawkeye may not know each other, but Lin Wuya does. Baccarat. One of Tesolo's men. He just got off the boat, and this woman came to him. Is this hitting the idea on him? Interesting. Lin Wuya chuckled lightly. Now that Baccarat is here, the guy Tesolo should have recognized him without surprise. In the case of recognizing him, they also resorted to this method. How about that guy's courage, or is it because of ignorance? Baccarat walked over and smiled at Lin Wuya and said, it should be the first time for some of you to come to the Grand Tesoro. It's the first time. Rayleigh nodded. Baccarat smiled and said, since it's the first time here, I should be relatively unfamiliar with everything here. If you don't mind, I will take you to get familiar with it. In this case, some of you can have fun. Then it will work. Rayleigh laughed. Nothing. It is our duty to bring guests to familiarize yourself with this place. Come with me. After Baccarat finished speaking, he led Lin Wuya and others to become familiar with it, including some racing, cruise ships and other facilities. About an hour later, Baraka led Lin Wuya and the others into a hall. In the hall, people can be seen gambling here everywhere. There are a lot of people, there are thousands of people. Either playing cards, or throwing dice, in short, all kinds of gambling are available. This is the most attractive place for us. It is also the fastest place to get money, and several people can have fun here. If the money is not enough, our boss can lend it to you for free, as long as we repay it afterwards. Wish you guys have a good time. After speaking, Baccarat left. After Baccarat left, Rayleigh said to Lin Wuya, teacher, let's go and play too. Seeing Rayleigh like this, obviously I can't wait. Yeah. Let's go and play. Lin Wuya smiled and nodded. Although he knew what Tesolo was thinking, Lin Wuya didn't take it seriously. If that guy is honest, it's okay. If he really dared to put his ideas on his head, Lin Wuya wouldn't mind letting him experience what it was like to die.